Yeah, it's case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Beeson McWaters versus May. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
21.
Who is this?
My mother.
Have a seat, thank you. Ms. Beeson, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. Were you both in college at the time?
She dropped out of college. I was still attending, yes.
And according to your complaint, she moved out.
Yes.
On the lease. She moved out on the lease, and in addition to moving out on the lease, she, according to you, defamed you by telling certain things to your landlord about what was going on in the apartment. You want to be compensated for both.
Absolutely.
Half of the rent and the defamatory remarks that she allegedly made to the landlord.
Yes.
When did you sign the lease?
May 2006.
And you had known each other for a long time, according to what I read in the complaint.
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't new. And it was just the two of you in the apartment?
Yes.
When did you move out?
June 29th, 2006.
Okay. Now you're going to tell me why you moved out.
Due to bad circumstances.
No, well, that's...
Drug use, and she clearly disrespected me after asking her plenty of times, her friends in and out of my stuff, my bathroom. I had to put a lock on my door because I didn't feel comfortable leaving my own house, and that's why I left.
Let me try to sort it out a little bit. You felt uncomfortable because her friends were coming to the house, and you felt uncomfortable with them.
Yes.
Why?
Because they were up all hours of the night using drugs.
Did you ever see anybody using drugs?
Yes.
Who?
Brooke and her friends.
What kind of drugs?
Marijuana, and that's all I saw.
Did you ever smoke marijuana?
Yes.
So they were up, they were partying, they were smoking marijuana.
That I know of.
That you know of, a substance that you also indulged in.
Not at the apartment.
Wherever. It's somebody's apartment. You didn't do it in the street, right?
Right.
Well, you didn't do it at school, right?
Right.
So you had to do it in somebody's apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you had to put a lock on the door.
Yes.
Your bedroom door.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when you put a lock on the bedroom door.
In May.
Tell me why.
Because I didn't feel my belongings were safe. She had people in and out of our apartment.
Miss May, did you have any rules that you set up before you moved into this apartment with Miss Beeson?
No.
Well, then you have a problem, madam. Your problem is you have to be a big girl.
I know that now.
And if you sign a lease on an apartment, you can't just pick up your marbles and go home. So far, you haven't given me one valid reason why you would be entitled to break a lease. You're alleging that you saw her and her friends smoking marijuana. Whether you did in the apartment or not, I don't know, but you certainly did it in somebody else's apartment, so you weren't frightened of drug use because you did it yourself.
Not at the time. Before I have.
Whatever. I didn't say at the time, before or after. So you weren't certainly frightened of what you saw there because it was something you had indulged in yourself. I mean, I can understand you not being happy if there's lots of partying going on. Did she complain to you about that? Is not an answer. Did she complain to you about people being in the apartment? Or...
Yes.
So what did you say to her?
They're mutual friends of ours, so at certain times, the same friends that would be there with me would be there when I would come home. Late at night, they would be over with her.
Well, why didn't you try to work it out? Sit down and work out a scenario where at 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody goes home, whether it's your friends or her friends. Why didn't you try to work it out?
Because it wasn't an ongoing thing. It wasn't day to day. It wasn't day in, day out. So it was never a continual issue.
Well, but she made it an issue. When did she tell you she was moving out?
Never told me. Moved
That's a
out.
lie.
Vacated the premises without any warning. Said she needed to talk to me the morning before. I came home from work. I said, you know what, I have school all day. I'll be home at 2 o'clock. I have to be at work at 5. If you want to talk when I get home from school, that's totally fine. If you want to meet me, I'll be here from 2 to 5 before I go to work. Came home, didn't say a word to me. I went to work, came home, and all of her things were gone.
What efforts did you make to find another roommate to take over your lease?
I told her 3 weeks prior to my moving out.
What efforts
I
did
didn't
you...
make any.
Well, you have to. You can't just walk out on a lease. Now, what proof do you have that she made statements to the landlord about you?
I have a document that she had given to the apartment complex, if you want to look at this.
That she signed?
That she has signed, yes, absolutely.
I'd like to see it. Who prepared this letter for you?
Me and my mom wrote it.
Well, you can't just say, I accept no responsibility for rent or expenses relating to the apartment after June 29th, 2006. You have a contract with them, and you have a contract with her. And you made absolutely no effort to find another roommate. You have to be a big girl. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Well, why did you help her write this letter? Stand up when you talk.
Because she needed to write it at the time.
What do you mean she needed to write it at the time? I don't understand you. Did you know your daughter smoked marijuana?
She had before.
She had before.
Yes,
She
I did
probably
know.
had during. And I guarantee you she does afterwards, maybe not in the apartment, but it's not something that frightens her because she does it herself. And that's the only drug use that she ever says she saw in the apartment. So why would she sort of ascribe any untoward behavior to the plaintiff? It's outrageous. She's a baby, and she shouldn't be coddled by you. Should have told her not to rent the apartment in the first place. You have a roommate now?
No, I do not.
Did you have a roommate?
Yes, I did for 1 month.
So you did have a roommate.
Yes.
When did the roommate move in?
In October. It was a temporary thing. He was moving in and moving out, and I needed the rent, so I told him he could move in for the 1 month that he was transferring places from where he was at to going back to his parents' house. It was an agreement we had from the start. He was the only person I could find, and I needed the money at the time, so any money's better than no money at this point.
Did you put any ads in the paper?
I have not, but I had a roommate lined up that bailed on me last minute, so it's just a bunch of
Who's paying the rent
unfortunate-
now?
My mother does. I'm a full-time student.
When is the lease up?
May of 2007.
Well, you better see if you can find another roommate.
Absolutely, I'm in the
What's the
process.
rent?
$1,400. It's actually $1,391.
Okay, so it's $700 each. Is that
Yes.
right?
Not including utilities.
She moved out in May. Did you pay May's rent?
Yes.
Did you pay June's rent?
Yes.
You didn't pay July?
No.
Didn't pay August?
No.
Didn't pay September?
No, but she wrote me a letter saying that she was having a roommate move in September 1st, 2006, and I responded to her
Let me see.
letter.
Give her both of them.
Okay. Well, you wrote this letter to her telling her exactly what she owed and that your daughter, fortunately, had found a roommate that will be moving in September 1st. You wrote the letter.
However, can I?
Yes.
Okay. Brooke had a girl from work lined up that had given us a $200 deposit, which we, on the itemization, showed that she had given us. The girl ended up not moving in. So we deducted $200, the deposit she had given, and we did get a deposit from her to secure us, but it didn't remove Kim from the lease. Anyways, she did not get another roommate until Chad moved in for 1 month. She has contacted everybody. She let the apartment know that she would move out if they could find somebody. A tenant had come to me regarding something, and I had tried to work something out where she could even take over the apartment so Brooke
I
could
got
move
you.
back home.
I got you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You move in. You find a roommate. You don't have to find her a roommate. Find yourself a roommate. How about it?
No.
Right. Right. She's a big baby.
And later today,
How old are you, Anthony?
16,
How tall are you?
6'1".
What do you feed him?
Pasta.
Pasta. So you're older than he is.
Yeah.
Start eating more pasta.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brooke Beeson claims former roommate Kimberly May broke their lease when she moved out of their apartment.
You have 3 months' rent so far. We have October that this fellow moved in, and you have November and December. That's 5 months' rent. Is $3,500. So far, that's what you owe her. And although I'm not happy with the letter that you sent, the letter does not indicate that the plaintiff is the one that was using drugs in the apartment. It says that there was drug use in the apartment. It doesn't describe that conduct particularly to her. Could have been other people, it could have been guests, etc. So I'm not awarding you any money for defamation. Right now, the entire lawsuit has not come to fruition yet. It's not become fixed yet because I am hoping that she will find a roommate.
So am I. I'm paying the rent.
Right, I got it. You can't do that. And your daughter can't do that. She's got a responsibility. Why should this mother be responsible for the rent? Let your daughter move in, she'll move out. You want to do that? Stand up. Move over. The apartment's lease goes until next May. Right now, Miss Beeson's mother has been footing the bills for your daughter's share of the rent. She's perfectly prepared for her daughter to come home and live at home. You want to assume the responsibility from January until May for your daughter? She'll move out and your daughter can move in. That way she can be safe. She can have only her own friends. How about it?
No, I would not.
Why?
Why?
Why is my question? Why is it okay for this lady to pay all the rent when your daughter defaulted and not for you to pay all the rent when your daughter
Well,
defaulted?
first of all, that lady doesn't have to pay anything. I don't have to pay anything.
Sure
They're
you
two
do.
adults.
No, just a second. You made an excuse for your daughter and you helped her craft a letter to get out of a lease. Your daughter had no right to move out.
May I say something? What if I find her roommate?
No. That's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, you can't stick her with the rent. What, instead of her having to pay you any money since she's already out that money, you move in. You find a roommate. You don't have to find her a roommate. Find yourself a roommate that you're happy with. How about it?
No.
Yeah,
May,
right.
may I say something?
Right. Right. She's a big baby. And don't encourage her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The drug use,
There's no drug use by my part.
her not respecting me and her friends not respecting me.
So if she was upset about and concerned about it, something you talk about.
You know, just being disrespectful.
The fact that I lost my best friend, of course, that hurt. Yeah, takes a toll.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Vito versus Betancourt. Step forward, please.
Rhonda Vito is suing the mother of her son's friend, Anna Betancourt, for the cost to fix a dirt bike. Rhonda claims Anna's son, 17-year-old Sean, rode her son's bike without permission and wrecked it.
Ms. Vito, which of these two young men is your son?
Anthony, the first one.
How old are you, Anthony?
16,
How tall are you?
6'1".
What do you feed him?
Pasta.
Pasta. Which one of these two young men is
Sean.
am I going to grill today?
Sean.
Ms. Betancourt, and this is your son, whose name is Sean.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Vito, it is your complaint that Ms. Betancourt's son drove your son's dirt bike without permission, got into an accident, and damaged the bike. You believe Mrs. Betancourt should be responsible for fixing the bike. Ms. Betancourt said that her son did have permission to ride the bike, that he was injured, that you're just lucky she's not suing you for the injuries because he broke an ankle. Is that right?
Yeah.
And your son gave her son permission to ride the bike, so that's it. Shouldn't be here. Anthony.
Yes.
Anthony, when were you riding the bike when it was running? What date was the last date for this incident? You have to look down at a piece of paper?
No.
What date?
May 8th.
And where were you on May 8th?
We were at a track in Brockton, riding.
And is it a track where they just have dirt bikes?
Yes.
Who was there?
Myself, Nick.
You have to speak up. You hear I'm speaking? I'm projecting. You can hear me, right?
Myself, Nick, and Dennis.
Dennis, that would be you.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Sean wasn't there.
No.
This was after school, or there was no school on that day?
It was after school,
What time?
about like 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay. Now, you're going to tell me what happened.
Myself, Nick, and Dennis, we were riding. My bike wasn't working right, so we drove it to my other friend's house. I tried fixing it, but it didn't work, and Sean asked to ride it.
Okay, now Sean was at your other friend's house?
Yes.
They were just hanging out?
Yes.
So far, are we correct, Sean?
Yes.
So up to this point, our stories are in sync, right? Sean asked if he could ride the bike.
Yes, and me and Nick said no, and I was putting the tools away, and he got on the bike and with no helmet and just left
Why did you say no?
because the bike wasn't working properly.
Is that the reason you left the track?
Yes.
Did you have a bike with you that day?
No, Your Honor.
Did you have a bike with you that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you had your own bike?
Yes.
He's petrified. Go ahead.
About 5 minutes after I saw him, I tried waving him over, and he kept going.
Well, what was he going around in a circle?
Yeah, like he went around the block. I saw him, I waved him over. He didn't come over. And about 10 minutes later, he came back with a broken ankle.
By the way, in the state of Massachusetts, are you required to ride with a helmet?
Yes.
You're also 16, Sean?
17.
17. So you're older than he is,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Start eating more pasta.
I don't like pasta.
Okay, let me hear your version. You're at your friend's house. He comes by with his bike. Go ahead.
He came by with his bike. They were fixing it. Dennis rode the bike.
Talk back. Came by, and they were fixing it.
Yes.
Were you outside when they were fixing it?
No, I shut up there. I got out after they were done fixing it, and I came out and
Well, how did you know they were fixing it?
because they told me that after
After what?
I crashed.
After the crash,
Yeah.
not before.
No.
So you showed up after they had been fooling around with the bike.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then Dennis was riding it, and then when he stopped riding it, I asked if I could ride it. He said no. I asked him again. He said no, and then I just hopped on the bike and rode it because I rode it again, so I didn't really think it was a big deal.
Did you tell that to your mother?
No.
No, ma'am.
He didn't tell that to you.
No, ma'am.
He had an epiphany here. Right?
Yeah.
Sean, you had an epiphany here, right? You know what that word means? Change of heart. You had an enlightenment. So this is the first time your mother's hearing that he said, no, you can't ride the bike. Now, do you think that if your mother knew that you didn't have permission to ride this bike, that we would be here today? You stole the bike, right? If you ask the owner of a bike, a car, something, can I use your vehicle? And they say, no, you can't. You say, oh, I'm going to use it anyway. Go get rid of your tools. While you're getting rid of your tools, I'll get on the bike and ride it. Sean, what do you have to say for yourself?
I don't know.
Miss Betancourt, you changed your mind? Your son rode the bike without permission. He actually stole it. He was told he couldn't drive it. You think he's responsible for the damage he caused?
But, Your Honor, I also have medical bills that my insurance is not covering.
Well, let me ask you this question, Miss Betancourt. Let's say your son was walking down the street on his way home, and he saw a red Corvette convertible. And he got into the car, because the keys were there, got into the car, and he took off with the car. And he crashed it, and he got hurt. You think that the owner of that car would be responsible for your medical bills?
No, but also what I didn't finish is that what they're charging me, they're also charging me for part that was fixed that had nothing to do with the accident. And Dennis is the one who took the bike to the shop. And some of the chains and the stuff was worn out during all the periods that they were riding the bikes. So it had nothing to do with the accident.
Well, how much do you believe you are responsible for of the bills that they had?
If we take that out, it would be $355.78.
How much did it cost you to fix the bike?
$631.10.
But the bike wasn't working before he got on the bike properly.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So it was going to have to go in to be fixed, because the reason you didn't want him to ride the bike is because it wasn't working properly.
Yes.
So at least part of that $631 that it cost you to fix the bike was as a result of wear and tear on the bike, or something that had absolutely no relation to the accident. So what has to do with the accident? Anthony?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, she knows. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $355.78. Good. Truth will out. Aren't you glad I didn't have to call on you?
No.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 50 on the calendar, the matter of Aarons versus Payton. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. You folks have a seat, please.
All right, Mr. Aarons, it is your claim that Mr. Payton assaulted you.
Correct.
There is sort of a companion case here that I will address either during this case or at some point immediately after, involving a Mr. Spear. Is that you?
That's correct.
And you weren't actually there during the course of this whole event, but you allege your car got damaged by Mr. Aarons while he was drunk. When did this assault take place, sir?
The assault itself occurred at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was with my friends.
I need a date, sir.
December 18th. At 3 in the morning.
12/18/04.
Correct.
Where were you?
I was in the parking lot of the Hilton Hotel, located in Corvallis, Oregon.
What were you doing there?
My friend had a party right next door. It was his birthday party.
And what time had you arrived at the party?
10 o'clock.
How many people were there?
Roughly 8.
A lot of drinking.
Yes, we were all over 21.
I didn't ask how old you were. I said there was a lot of
Yes, there
drinking.
was a lot of drinking.
What were you drinking, Ben?
I was drinking Miller Lite.
Nothing other than beer.
Correct.
And what happens?
We were outside, out front. There's a fence separating his house and the parking lot. And we were out front there. I was with my friends, Jason. Well, they're actually acquaintances. About 3 girls came out of the Hilton Hotel. At that point, we called over to them to come over and talk to us. So they came over to where we were.
What did you say to them?
I don't exactly remember exactly what we said, but we said, hi, what's going on tonight? What are you guys doing at the Hilton? At that point, approximately 3 to 4 men came out of the hotel and immediately came over to where we were. Mr. Payton targeted me specifically, and he started going after me. I could tell he wanted to fight. He was very aggressive towards me.
Well, tell me what he did, sir.
He said as soon as he came out of the hotel, he said that he saw me looking at him and saluting in a Hitler-like way. And I don't know what he was talking about.
Do you know what he's talking about, Mr. Payton?
I know exactly what he's talking about.
What is he talking about, Mr. Payton?
When I walked out of the hotel, we walked over to the young ladies, and they seemed upset, so I walked over and asked him to stop, and he was on the other side of the fence, and he gave me one of those.
Can I interject at this point?
What were you doing at the Hilton Hotel that evening?
The dorms were closed at our university, and I was staying there for a school function.
Okay. And what time had you started drinking that night?
I'm 18 now, I didn't drink.
Okay, Ben. So you're outside.
And I'm speaking with my friends. It becomes a verbal altercation at that point. So I came over to the fence.
So you jumped over the fence?
Correct, yes.
Why didn't you just go home like you were planning to go?
I wasn't planning on going home that night.
Well, what were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just out front of his house so that we didn't wake up his friends.
I don't understand that, Ben. You were outside because you were making too much noise to be inside?
That would be correct, yes. At that point, I explained to him what I was doing.
What did you mean you explained to him? What does that mean, I explained to him?
I told him, I repeated the motion of this. I told him that's the only thing I could have possibly done at that point when he came outside. I told him that. He said, okay, that's all right. And then we shook hands. We exchanged names. We asked them what they were doing, and they said they were going to go and get beer and food. So they got in their car, and they took off. They came back about 10 minutes later, maybe 15 minutes later, and we were still outside.
What were you doing outside, Ben?
We were just sitting on the curb. There's this curb. We were just sitting there. We were just talking amongst ourselves.
Go ahead.
The three girls that were with them, I believe they went straight into the hotel, or they went
they didn't want to talk
entrance.
to you anymore.
I don't know if they didn't want to talk to us anymore, or if they were just
They
going
didn't
back.
want to talk to you anymore. They went right inside.
They went inside.
Go ahead.
Peyton and his friends, they stayed with us out there, and we talked. And at that point, there became a verbal altercation between Mr. Peyton and one of the witnesses, Brown. And I believe it was over food. I believe he asked them if they brought him any food back.
Where is Mr. Brown?
Mr. Brown is unable to come. He had
So
work.
he's not a witness.
Okay.
Because
no.
he's not here.
Okay.
So Mr. Brown, one of your friends, asked Mr. Peyton...
Well, he wasn't my friend. He was my acquaintance.
Your acquaintance.
Correct.
On your curb.
Yes.
Asked Mr. Peyton how come they didn't bring him back any food.
Yes.
You think that was because Mr. Brown maybe had a little too much to drink?
Possibly, yes.
Keep going.
So at that point, there was a verbal altercation between him and Mr. Peyton, and I believe Jason might have gotten involved in it a little bit. At that point, I got up and I got in between them, and I pushed them aside, and then I'm not sure exactly what he did. That's about where my memory ends. Shortly after that point, it was because he had struck me to the face. I received a massive concussion. I have photos here if you'd like at this time. You can take a look at that. I fell back. I hit the concrete. I lost about 1.5 pints of blood. You can see my cheek there. It was possibly dislocated.
Looked like you fell back
jawbone
really
there.
hard.
Yes. At that point, I had a concussion. I do not remember anything from that point
Good.
on.
Now, Brian,
Yes.
let's hear it.
Like you said, the young ladies did come out the...
Why don't we start with the young lady?
Oh, okay then.
Because you weren't there. The young lady was there first. Is
Can I
that right?
interject at this point?
No.
Okay.
You came out at some point of the Hilton Hotel.
Yes. Ben and his friends were yelling at us and
What were they yelling?
to come over and like what were our names, and we could tell that they were very intoxicated. And then the boys came out and were like, these guys won't leave us alone. They keep yelling at us and they're very intoxicated. And so I believe that Brian asked them to leave us alone.
Did you go out with Brian and his friends for some food? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be a yes.
Yes.
What happened when you came back?
We got out of the car and they started yelling and stuff like that, and then Ben started beating the car. And the car alarm...
Whose car was it?
Fine, Your Honor.
Your car. He started beating with what? With his fists?
Mm-hmm. And the car alarm was going off. All of us actually asked him numerous times to stop it, and he wouldn't. Brian went up to him to get him to stop, and Ben turned around really fast, and his fist came up, and so Brian obviously felt threatened if he was beating the car this much, and so Brian hit him, and he fell back on the ground and hit his head.
Okay. The police were called?
Yes.
You have the police report?
I have the police report. And
I'd like
is
to
there
see it,
something I could
please.
say? The police
also
interviewed
have-
all the witnesses.
I'd like to see both police reports, and Ben, I can read. You don't have to tell me what it says.
Can I just point one out thing, though, please?
Yes?
They interviewed all the witnesses there, and they took down their names. Her name's nowhere in the police report. I'd like
Well,
to-
it may not be in the police report, but did they take down the names of the three girls who were...
No, they did not.
Well, so?
I don't recognize her at all. I'm not sure who she is. They interviewed everyone who was there at the time
Listen
of the
to me.
incident.
You were so blind drunk not a question in my mind that you wouldn't know her if she came up and bit you in the behind. You said there were 3 girls that came out. It's my job to ascertain who tells the truth and who lies. She told a very cogent story. There is no reason to say that she's lying about being one of the 3 girls that came out that night that spoke to you.
Why didn't the police interview her then?
I have no idea, sir. I have enough trouble figuring out why I'm here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were drinking, him included. He started picking a fight. I can quote him on, I can kick 2 of your guys' right now. And,
Hands off your hips.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ben Aaron says during a night of partying, he was assaulted by college football player Brian Payton. Brian says Ben was drunk and out of control. In a separate lawsuit, Adam Spear is suing Ben Aarons for denting his car.
How did you get the injuries to your hands, sir? How did you get the injuries?
I didn't have any injuries on my hands.
I noted that Mr. Aarons had injuries to both of his hands. He had abrasions and red marks on his fingers that were consistent with him striking something.
This is the photograph of the injury to my hands. This is the dent that my hands allegedly created.
That's one hand. I'll take a look at it. Absolutely.
If you look in the report, it says injuries to both hands.
Right.
If there is injury to both hands, you would see it. The only thing that photo shows is a red strap mark from where I was strapped into the stretcher. You can see that.
No. Police officer noted, sir, that there were massive dents on a car. That would be Mr. Spear's car. And the police officer said to you, did you strike that car? And you said, I don't remember. That was the answer that you gave to the police.
Correct.
Police also said that in addition to beer, you drank liquor.
Yes.
That's what you told the police.
Okay, yes.
You didn't remember to tell me that.
I'm sorry.
Police officer also noted that you and your friends were all drunk. Right?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Could I interject with one more thing, please? I have a medical report from when I was there. They did a full body analysis on me. There is nothing in there about any injury to my hands. The only thing I could have imagined that he would have seen is I have a medical injury.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You hit his car. You were drunk, and you fisted his car. You may not remember it, but that's what you did. That's what happens when you drink too much. Ben?
Allegedly, yes.
That's what happens when you drink too much, sir. You act goofy and stupid. You try to pick up girls that don't want to have anything to do with you. You hang around where you shouldn't be hanging around outside. And you act goofy and stupid, and you get yourself into trouble when you drink too much. Isn't that right?
Not entirely, no.
Well, you were acting goofy and stupid, too, according to the police report. All of his friends were drunk.
Oh, does it specify my name in there?
Were you at the party?
Yes, I was.
And you weren't drunk.
They didn't take individual
I
statements.
didn't ask you that question, sir. I said...
I was drinking, but I was not drunk, Your Honor. I'm here for a reason. I'm not his friend. I met him that night.
Good.
I'm here because I can remember things. Everybody else there was too wasted.
Why? She wasn't wasted.
Huh? I'm talking at the party that we were there.
This young lady isn't wasted, sir.
And you know what? She also wasn't there at the moment of the assault.
Step up. Step up. Go ahead.
Kind of twisted that around a little bit. I'm not denying that he hit any car.
Good.
I didn't.
So let's start
Okay,
there.
let's start
there. He hit the car.
I did not see him hit the car, no.
Okay. So you weren't there the entire time?
No, I was outside most of the time. I was inside for maybe 3 minutes the whole time.
He was there when I actually got hit. And
I was there and witnessed the assault.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it? Okay.
Take your hands off your hips.
We were standing there having drinks. His friends and him among us had beer. They brought a case of beer. We were drinking, him included. He, Mr. Payton, was pretty hot-headed the whole time. The moment he came up, he started picking a fight with me and Brown, who's not here today. I can quote him on, you guys are pretty stupid. I don't want to hang out with you guys. I don't want to sit here and drink with you. I'm going back to my hotel. I can kick 2 of your guys' right now. That set me, who's pretty hot-headed, if you can't tell, and Brown off. We kind of got up in his face, and he did the same. Some words were said. That's when Ben said he came up and tried to break up the thing. He went back to the hotel for a while with the girls. We still hung out with his 2 other friends. He came back out. And
hands off your hips.
All right. He came back out. Some more words were said. Ben, at the time, was sitting on the curb drinking a beer. He stood up. Ben wasn't even looking at him. We were all talking. He walked over to Ben and cheap-shotted Ben in the jaw.
So after they left, instead of going back to the house, you stayed in the parking lot. You remember why?
It's a place to sit. We were there already. I can just stay where I want, I believe. It's not against the law.
I love it when it all comes together. Just let them talk. Right?
That's what you do best.
Mr. Payton,
Yes.
here's your problem, sir. Your problem is the statement that you made to the police. And the sum and substance of that statement was that he was loud and obnoxious and drunk,
Yes.
and he kept hitting on Mr. Spears' car,
Correct.
and you told him to stop, and he walked away, and he came back and he hit the car again. And then you hit him.
That's basically, yes, what happened. I
No.
didn't intentionally walk to him to hit him. Like, I came back around the vehicle because I walked through the back of the vehicle towards the Hilton.
Whatever. Let me tell you what you said to the police,
Okay.
Mr. Payton. You said to the police, I told him to knock it off. Mr. Payton said that he started to walk away twice, and each time Mr. Aarons began striking the vehicle again. Mr. Payton said that he told Mr. Aarons one last time to quit striking the vehicle, and when he failed to stop, he hit him.
Yeah.
I asked Mr. Payton how many times he hit Mr. Aarons, and he said twice. And that you struck him both times in the face.
Yes.
And you said you were shocked that he fell down because you didn't think you'd hit him that hard. Well, but he was drunk.
Yeah.
Now you can stand up. I'm going to hear this other case. You want to get that folder now because I don't have to hear it twice. I've just heard the facts of the case. This is Spear against Aarons.
Case number 49.
Very good. You have an estimate for the damage to your car?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
Would you like the court fees that it's been costing me?
No, just the damage to the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Who's Mr. Norris? Is he a friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. Let me tell you what Mr. Norris told the police. It says in the police report, this is the interview. Mr. Norris stated that after Mr. Payton told Mr. Aarons 3 different times to stop hitting the car, he walked up and struck him in the face.
Yeah, I'm not denying that I hit him.
You can't do that. Brian, you can't do that. Now, do you have any unreimbursed medical bills, sir?
Yes, sir, or ma'am.
Hand them up. These are all unreimbursed medical bills, is that right?
Correct.
You had no insurance.
My insurance was denied, yes, no insurance.
You go to school full time?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a job?
No, ma'am.
Better get one. You can't hit somebody because they're damaging property. He has over $5,000 in unreimbursed medical bills. You have to take care of that. I say this to you, sir, that I think you behaved badly that night, but for the fact that this young man had no right to hit you, believe me, you would leave here today without a judgment. But the law is clear. You cannot defend somebody else's property with physical violence. So I'm awarding you your judgment of $5,000. You are entitled to that. On your claim, I'm awarding you a judgment against Mr. Aarons for $1,500 so that you can fix your car. Anything you want to say to me?
I have right here a list of all the instances where people were hit by OSU football players in the past several months here, and I believe that this shows that there's a lot of animosity from athletes who are out of line and out of control. This happened at 3 a.m. past curfew.
Listen to me, sir. I have no particular axe to grind. I don't even like athletes. What I don't like are young people who get so drunk that they can't remember what's happened. According to the police, according to the doctor, you reeked of alcohol, you had no memory of the assault because you were drunk. Because if you had had any kind of negative vibes with them during the course of the evening, and if you were sober, I can't believe you would be stupid enough to sit in the parking lot of the hotel where they were staying, not you. That's what you keep wanting to answer me, sir, and I'm telling you, that's what happens when you're drunk and stupid. Bad things happen. That doesn't mean he had the right to assault you. It just means that your actions, your purposeful actions in consuming too much alcohol was the proximate cause of all of these events that spiraled out of control that night. And if that's the way you can consume your alcohol, I suggest to you that you don't drink anymore. This case is over. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now it's case number 69 on the calendar in the matter of Bledsoe versus Ha. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Bledsoe, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint. There came a time when you needed a cell phone.
Correct.
You didn't have sufficient credit to get one yourself. And Ms. Ha said that she would get one for you, as long as you agreed to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
She got a second phone on her account, or was this an account that you had solely for him?
No, it was already, and he took it over.
It was already in existence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started a business.
Correct.
And you didn't have an office, per se, so that your cell phone was your office.
Correct. We're a mobile service.
So that you had business cards and stationery printed up, all with the cell phone number on it.
Yes.
What kind of business is this, Mr. Bledsoe?
We manufacture and install a paint protection film for cars. It's otherwise known as a clear broad. It's on the front of the cars to protect them from getting rock chips.
From getting what?
From getting rock chips and damage on the front of the car.
This is a lucrative business?
Yes.
And then the two of you broke up.
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You say that because Ms. Ha refused to let you keep the number to keep the account going, and you lost the number, not only did you lose a lot of business, but all of the cards that you had printed up and the stationery that you had printed up are no good anymore because you had to get a different phone.
Right.
Explain to me, sir, how this is a lawsuit.
All right. We had broken up in March of 2004, and until December of this past year, I was still paying the cell phone bill, still using the phone. She had contacted me and said that she wanted to get the cell phone out of her name, and I said, that's fine. And the following day, we were going to meet down at the Singular store because I needed her to go in and say it was okay for me to have that phone number. And so she agreed to go down there. She didn't show up that day. Then after we tried to meet and she wouldn't come, and eventually she said, I'm not going to give you the number. My brother, who's also a partner in business, also spoke with her on the phone for about 45 minutes one day trying to see what we could do to maintain this number, and she just refused to do it. We ended up that month of February going 33 days without any business due to not having anybody being able to contact us through the new number.
Mr. Bledsoe, let's say I believe everything that you said to me. What you're complaining about is that she wasn't being a nice person, right?
Correct. Correct. She knew without a doubt that without giving me that number, she knew she would hurt business.
She has, where is her legal obligation to give you that number?
I guess there's no legal obligation that she had to give me that number.
That's true. But Ms. Ha has a counterclaim. She says you weren't paying the bill.
The very last bill, I did not pay the very last bill.
And what month was the very last bill, Mr. Bledsoe?
The cell phone was turned off in the middle of January, so it would have been the December to January.
When did you get that bill, Ms. Ha?
Well, I received several bills, and I actually agreed to let him keep the phone as long as he paid for the bill. His brother first told me beg, and I said, nope, I'm not going to give him the phone. And I totally refused, and then finally, I said, you know what, you can keep the phone, just pay for the bill. I texted him, I said, you can keep the phone. He even texted me back and said, I appreciate that you're going to let me keep the phone. I thought everything was going to be squared away, he's going to go pay for it. He still didn't pay for it. So
well, let me see the bill.
This is collections.
Just the one, are they all outstanding bills?
No, I'm sorry.
Well, then just give me one thing. I'm getting older by the minute. You owed her $497.57.
Originally, she had said that her mother was going to use that phone. Therefore, when I switched the numbers over, there wasn't going to be any cancellation fee or anything like that. Because she drew it out over a 3-week period of time, not deciding whether she wanted to give me a number or not, then they canceled the phone and they added on a $200 cancellation.
They canceled the phone after 3 months, not 3 weeks.
Had he been paying the bill regularly?
Yes, until, well, it was never on time, but he was until the last.
Well, why do you think, Mr. Bledsoe, that after she said she would let you keep the phone, she decided against it?
If you like, if I could bring my brother up, because he spoke with her directly about that question.
Your name?
My name's Craig Bledsoe. I spoke to Michelle. You know, she agreed to give the number, and I don't know what her problem was, but all of a sudden she wouldn't do it. And then she would, and then she wouldn't.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's a lie.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Try looking at me.
Okay.
This is not an audition for an acting class, sir.
Okay.
Did she ever say to you, you owe a bill?
No.
Is not an answer.
Oh,
Did
excuse
she
me, I'm
ever
sorry.
say to you, you owe a bill?
She never said to me that I owe a bill. Yes, he owes a bill.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, come back to you. Did you ever have a discussion about paying the bill?
Yes.
Oh, that's the problem, sir. There was some misunderstanding and miscommunication about paying the last bill.
I had no problem paying the bill and, in fact, offered her money so that we could have that phone because that phone number is so crucial to our business.
Mr. Bledsoe, how many months after you broke up, or she broke up with you, who broke up with who?
It was mutual.
Mutual. How much after the breakup did this incident occur in December? When did you break up?
In March.
So for a long time, you had the phone.
That's correct.
And for a long time, there was no problem.
Correct. The problem arose when Michelle and I were dating. We had had 2 cars repossessed. I felt responsible for it. Therefore, I had told her that I would give her $250 a month towards her car payment as long as I could afford it. Therefore...
What do you mean you felt responsible? Why did you feel responsible?
Because we were living together and I was using the car.
Both cars.
And so therefore...
Go ahead. He was using...
I got him 2 cars, and he got them both repossessed. And countless of that, like credit cards he used to take to strip clubs, everything. And I saw
No.
a statement. Yeah.
Not true.
Just to sit down. Now I don't need you anymore.
Fair enough, but I got a lot to say about her side of the story.
I mean, I would see things on my statements.
So that things started to get nasty before.
Things have been nasty
Is that
for a
right?
long time, yes.
Before. In any event, Mr. Bledsoe, Ms. Ha has no legal obligation to permit you to keep a cell phone in her name and allow you to keep the number. There is no legal obligation. Being a nice person, she could have done it. She chose not to, even if there wasn't an issue with regard to the final cell phone bill. So you don't have a legal case against her. Moral, maybe, but this is not moral court. It's a legal court. Understood?
Yes.
Very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your printer?
No, that's not my printer.
Do me a favor, Bert. Take a look at the receipt and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
And later today,
I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jared Bledsoe says ex-girlfriend Michelle Ha owes for maliciously cutting off his cell phone. Michelle says Jared tried to skip out on the bill.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. As I said, I'm not deciding whether or not you were nice, you were not nice. All I want to know is how much he owes on the past due phone bill.
$497.
No, that's with the cancellation fee. I want it without the cancellation fee.
$342.48.
Good. $342.48. That's what you owe, sir.
We had brought this, we had had a dispute about printer and a computer, so we had brought that to give to her.
Officer Byrd will take care of that. That's your printer?
Can you turn it around, please? No, that's not my printer.
Gosh.
I have a printer. It's a gray and black one, and when I got a computer, it came with it. And then when he gave me back my computer, he never gave me back my printer. And I have the receipt right here.
Do me a favor, Bert. Take a look at the receipt that she has and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
Was it Lexmark?
Yeah.
Mr. Bledsoe, does this one work or not work?
It works.
Good. Give it to her. Perfect. He owes you $342.48 for his phone bill. There's your printer. Goodbye. Good luck. Are you back in business?
Yes, we are.
Good. Good luck to you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wanted to do this civilly, and he wouldn't take care of it outside, so he likes attention, so I gave it to him.
As moral as she tries to act and she is, what would the moral thing have been to do in that situation?
I just want all ties cut with him.
I just think it's sad that this world's full of selfish people that are ignorant about the things that they do in their life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Austin versus Atwater Mayfield. Step forward, please.
26-year-old retail salesperson Courtney Austin is suing her former friend, maintenance technician Fred Atwater, and his fiancée, 23-year-old restaurant manager Sylvia Mayfield, for collect calls from jail, gas money, and lost wages. Fred and Sylvia are countersuing for harassment.
Miss Austin.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you and Mr. Atwater dated for a little while. Then he went to jail.
Yes.
Why is that funny?
Because we never dated, Your Honor. It was just
I said to her, according to her complaint,
Okay.
the two of you dated for a while and then you went to jail. I didn't think the going to jail part was funny. And while he was in jail, he made a series of collect calls to you.
Correct.
And it went something like this. He would call you and ask you to connect him on a three-way call to this lady here.
Initially, it was his sister.
Well, that's what he told you.
That's what he told me.
But I said, to this lady here.
Yes.
Who happens to be his fiancée or girlfriend.
Yes.
Shh. Now, every time he called you collect, it cost you $2.70.
Correct.
So you want him to pay for that.
Correct.
And then after you found out that he had this girlfriend, somehow you became friendly enough with her so that she asked you to drive her up to jail to pay his bail.
Correct.
And not only did you do that once, you did it twice.
Correct.
And now, Miss Austin, you're bothering me because you want the money back for the collect calls that you accepted and your gas and time when you took her to jail.
That he said he was going to pay for.
Let's go back. You met him when?
He introduced himself by leaving this note on my car.
Okay. Where did he see you?
He works in my complex.
Okay. So it worked. I didn't have to see that. He left a note on your car.
Yes.
You got to know him. According to him, you were friends. According to you, you dated for a little while. What I want to get to is, because I have other things to do today, and this isn't particularly fascinating to me. When women do stupid things, I get frustrated. At first, he told you, when he went to jail, by the way, what did you go to jail for?
Child support order.
Drug abuse and hitting her.
Was it a civil commitment or a criminal commitment?
It was civil.
Civil.
You hit her, and that's how you
Shut
got
up, shut up! He told you when he called you from jail that the person he wanted you to connect him to was his sister. How many such phone calls did you accept under the assumption that you were connecting him to his sister?
One.
And after that, you heard that it was his girlfriend.
No, I didn't know it was his girlfriend until she called me back trying to figure out who was three-waying the calls for him.
And how many calls had you accepted up until that time?
2 or 3.
And how many did you accept after you knew that she was the girlfriend?
It says here 35.
So, now we know that he's lied to you.
Yes.
And he's in jail.
Yes.
Why would you believe that he's going to pay you for these calls when he's lied to you about who the person is?
He's not from that area. Me just moving from Los Angeles to Georgia, I was trying to put myself in his position, needing a friend. So I was trying to look out for him. It wasn't like I was trying to make him my husband, my man, or anything like that. We were friends. And in that, he told me that he had after I found out he had a girlfriend, and I took her, I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now? Miss Austin. How much did it cost you, all this stupidity of yours? How much in phone calls?
Between 150 and 175.
No. Between 150 and 175 is not an answer when you're in court.
150. $150.
Now, Mr. Atwater,
yes, ma'am.
Who's supposed to pay that $150?
Well, since we were friends, I appreciate the call she did herself for me, but...
Why didn't she collect the call?
They ain't have a phone at the house.
Quiet.
For one thing, Your Honor, we had a cell phone. We didn't have a household phone then at the time. And we can't make collect calls to her, so I thought I would call her. And she was notified before she accepted the call, $270 per call. She had an option to hang up or accept.
It does not say that.
If you say one more word, I'm just going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
She was opted to either accept the call or not to.
Did you tell her that you would pay her back for these calls?
I never told Courtney I would pay her. She told me every time I would call her and she'd do the three-way, she'll tell me to hang up and call right back.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, like you get 15 minutes for $2.70. So after the phone call, the 15 minutes is up, she would tell me to hang up and call right back.
And you would do that?
Yes.
And
She accept the call every time.
I didn't.
Sorry.
Am I looking in your direction?
No.
Mr. Atwater?
Yes.
Is it your statement to me that you never said to Miss Austin, please do this collect calls because we have no phone in our house, so if you do this for me, I'll pay you back when I get out?
I never told her I was going to pay her.
I don't believe that. See, that I don't believe. That I don't believe. I believe you told her you'd pay her back for the phone calls. That's
Your
one
Honor.
bit of stupidity. You may not have meant it, Mr. Atwater.
Your Honor,
I'm speaking. What did you ever do for her?
I never did anything for her.
That's what I mean. Why in the world?
Because we were friends, Your
I'm
Honor. That's all we were, friends.
I'm speaking. Did Miss Mayfield know that she was your friend?
Not at the time. She was in Miami at the time.
Exactly.
And I did.
Quiet! Just to answer my question. I said, did Miss Mayfield know that Miss Austin was your fiancée? And you said no. That's the only information that I need. Now, as far as taking her to and from the jail, tell me how that came about. Fast!
Basically, he told me that he was going to pay me the money when he got out. She needed to go pay his bail money. She had $500. His employer put up the other $500. I took her to go get the money from the employer. We went. We didn't make it that day. I had to take her back the next day to go pay his bail. They wouldn't release him because he had a drug charge and he had hit her, which is originally why he went into jail. Then we had to go the next day, something about getting his clothes because the county would put him in jail.
You didn't have to do anything.
No, I didn't. I did it out of goodness of my heart.
That's right. So then don't bother me about it if you did it
No,
out of the
he
goodness
told
of
me
your
he was
heart.
going to pay me for it. It wasn't like he said he was going to pay
Miss
me
Austin,
for my trouble.
Miss Austin, you did not have a contract with Mr. Atwater, and you certainly didn't
I do
have
have one
contract
right
with
here.
Mayfield.
Yes, I do.
Good, then let me see it. Exactly what I said, Miss Austin. It says you can threaten us all you want. We'll pay for your phone bill. Nowhere does it say that they're going to pay for you taking her to and from jail. I believe that he said to you, if you accept these collect calls, I'll put your hand down. That he agreed to pay for the phone bill, but for nothing else. So that's your claim, $150. Now, you have a counterclaim for harassment.
Yes.
Get to it fast.
Okay, and that statement right there, what she has on the second page, that was after she brought the cops to our house. So we put it in writing. The cop told her to go ahead, take it to the courtroom and file the claim. And she did that.
Just a second.
And she did
You
that.
said here, I'm going to pay you the money for the phone bill. Stop bothering me.
Exactly.
Right.
But she never stopped.
Let's get to your counterclaim. You've got a counterclaim for harassment for $500. I'm going to hear you. 10 seconds or less.
The harassing emails, taping notes to our door, bringing the cops to our apartment complex where that is not tolerated. We cannot have no kind of commotion going on.
Why didn't you pay her phone bill?
Because I never did tell her that, Your Honor.
I
never
don't
did
believe
tell
that.
her.
And she was trying to collect a debt. You're not supposed to take advantage of people, Mr. Atwater.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to take advantage of people's feelings and emotions. One girlfriend is in Florida, one friend is here. Friendships usually work both ways. She does a favor for you, you do a favor for her. You did no favors for her. You were a taker. You have to pay her back for the phone. Put your hand down. Are you still bothering them?
No.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out. Jones versus Womack. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Jones, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for a brief period of time. How long?
It was probably 6 or 7 months.
And you asked her to marry you?
Yes.
You gave her a ring?
Yes.
According to you, you also purchased a camcorder while
Yes.
you were together. The marriage never took place because you were still married to somebody else.
Yes.
When the defendant found out about that, she asked you to leave.
Yes.
When you left, you took a whole bunch of property. What did you take with you when you left?
Well, I took all my stuff.
What stuff?
She had personal belongings that I brought with me: my bed, my table, my microwave, clothing, general things like that, pictures of my son and stuff like that. Since she kept the camcorder, and when I moved in with her, she gave away her bed, her microwave, and her table because mine were newer, mine were better. She decided to give those to some family members of hers, and
Because you didn't need two of each.
yes,
And she did that, I assume, Mr. Jones, because you anticipated that you were going to get married.
yes,
So she got rid of all of her old stuff, you brought in your stuff, which was new stuff, and then you left. She had to, I assume, replace all that stuff, right?
yes. But when she gave away her stuff, with her record, she's been married 4 times prior to my asking her to marry me. I told her that in case something happened, I told her that she had a building outside. I told her to put her stuff in her building or something to keep it and maybe not give it away. I didn't advise her to give it all away.
Like sort of insurance.
Well, I mean, in case something did happen, because
Like insurance.
yes, previously other stuff had happened. So, I said in case something happens. And then, she threatened anything that was left was going to be put out in the yard and burned.
She was pretty angry when she found out that you were still married.
Yes.
How does one make a mistake like that, Mr. Jones?
When we filed for divorce, I got the papers, the divorce papers, and signed them, had them notarized when I signed them, sent them back.
When was that?
That was middle part of 98, end part of 98.
So you got the papers from her attorney and sent
Yes,
them back.
and sent them back.
And?
And I never thought anything else about it. I never heard anything else. I assumed the divorce was finalized.
So did you ever call up and find out whether you were divorced?
No, I never checked on it.
Well, don't you think that, how many times have you been married?
Once.
You're not an unintelligent man, sir, so it would seem to me if you want to know whether you're divorced or not, you pick up the phone, you call the clerk's office of the jurisdiction where the divorce is pending, and you say, hello, do I have a judgment of divorce?
Well, that is true, but I just never thought anything else about it.
So how did you find out that you were still married?
Well, whenever I told my mom that we were engaged and everything, she told me, she said, first make sure that he's divorced, because she said, you can't trust my ex-wife.
And did you check?
She kept saying, Tracy kept saying she wanted to see the divorce papers, So I finally called my ex-wife and told her to send me the papers. Well, the papers she sent was the first copy that we got that was unsigned by either one of us. So I called her back and told her I needed them, and that's when she told me that she hadn't finished paying for the divorce, and we had decided, since I was giving her everything, that she would go ahead and file and pay. She would take care of all that.
So she didn't do it?
No.
And how much after that conversation did you tell Miss Womack that you weren't divorced?
It was probably, I'm guessing, maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
How come you didn't tell her for 3 or 4 weeks?
Because I was trying to figure out a way to tell her, because I knew that she would go off. I was trying to figure out what to do to try to save the relationship, because I knew, I loved her, or what I thought was love, and I didn't want,
So how did you finally figure out to tell her?
She was real persistent about wanting to see the papers.
Smart.
So
Because she's had experience.
Yeah, needless to say. I was making up copies to give to her.
What do you mean you were making up copies to give to her?
I was making up copies of divorce papers.
How were you doing that?
On my computer.
That was a lot of effort.
Well,
so did you give her copies of the divorce papers?
No, because when I went to get the copies that I made copied, to make copies of them, she got in my computer and found the originals.
So you didn't have a chance to give it to her, is what
No.
you're saying?
No.
So you did a little detective work.
Yes, I did.
So what you did was you were making up phony divorce papers to give to her, and then I assume you were going to go through a ceremony with her.
No, not until the divorce was final.
How was the divorce supposed to be final if your first wife was in no big hurry?
Well, we had planned to get married next year in Hawaii. So I was going to, after I took care of this with her and
Took care of what with her?
The divorce thing with Tracy, once I explained to her, once I got her to a point where I could explain to her that I wasn't divorced, I was going to
How are you
take care
going to
of it.
explain, Mr. Jones, how are you going to explain to Tracy that you really weren't divorced after you had given her copies of divorce papers that you fraudulently made up from the computer? Don't you see that you were digging the hole deeper?
Yes, ma'am, and I realized that I should have
And
dug
deeper.
up.
All right. This whole lawsuit is about a camcorder and engagement ring. Let's talk about the ring first. The ring is the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
You've been married 4 times?
Yes, I have.
Short marriages?
Yes, they were.
Made 4 mistakes?
Yes, I did.
You were just saved from a 5th.
Yes, I was.
Given back the ring. Now.
This ring means
Nothing.
everything.
Nothing.
But why should he get this ring when he gave this to me and I expected to marry this man, and he lied not only to me but to my children? And now, to this ring, I need to sell to pay back all the stuff that I had to buy when he left and took.
Mm-hmm. Give him the ring. Good. Now, let's get to the camcorder. How much was the camcorder, sir?
The camcorder was $355.43 plus bag and tapes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And tell me the circumstances around the camcorder.
I bought the camcorder because she has 2 children that are younger. I have a son that's 5. She had talked about wanting to get a camcorder to be able to film them and stuff like that. She liked tapes and pictures and stuff. So I went and I bought the camcorder. The camcorder, I told her whenever, I said, hey, I got a camcorder. I told her it was for us to film the kids growing up and, our relationship and our marriage, which I had planned.
Mm-hmm.
It was never given to her as a gift. The gifts that I did give her, I didn't ask for them back.
Mr. Jones, do you think that Ms. Womack is in a better position or a worse position as a result of being involved with you, sir, financially?
Financially?
She had to replace certain things in her house, right?
Yes, and when I moved in with her, when she asked me to move in with her, I gave away my couch and love seat because they were that she had a nicer one, same as with my stuff. She had a nicer one than I had, so I gave them away.
Yeah, but she was straight up with regard to the relationship with you, sir. She wasn't married to somebody else.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It was his fault that it never took place.
He should pay.
See, Your Honor, this is all about, she's a very vindictive person.
You deceived her. Doesn't that strike you as being wrong?
And later today,
What did you contribute to this relationship?
I contributed as much as I possibly could.
That's I heard that before. I give you anything I had. I don't have anything.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paul Jones says ex-fiancée Tracy Womack won't return an engagement ring or his camcorder. Tracy says Paul lied to her. She claims he's still married.
She could have followed through with her promise to marry you. You, on the other hand, unless you could do some magic with the computer, were not going to be able to marry her if you were already married to somebody else.
No, but at the time that I asked her to marry me, I didn't know, and it may have been
That's
stupidity.
your fault.
It may have been,
Well, so that's your stupidity, not hers.
but
A person assumes that when a man asks to marry them, they are free to marry. You didn't embark on an honest course of conduct, which would have said, Tracy, I don't understand what happened. I really thought I was divorced. I have some money. I'm going to hire a lawyer. I'm going to do it next week or this week. I'm going to do it tomorrow because she doesn't care whether we're married or not. She just doesn't want to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it, and I'm going to get it done. You weren't honest with her. Your relationship at that point was one of deception, right?
yes, it may have been.
Clearly. The deception's going to cost you the camcorder, sir, because I don't know whether it was a gift or not. She's got it. She keeps it. If you need to, you sell it. Okay? The ring, as far as I'm concerned, is a gift made in contemplation of marriage, whether it's your fault, her fault, or the moon's fault that you can't get married. You should have the ring back. As far as the camcorder, I'm not so sure that it wasn't given to her as a gift so that she could memorialize her kids and the times you had together.
You just gave him permission to lie to everybody and get this ring back.
Listen to me. A ring is a piece of metal unless there is some real sentimental value to it, which there shouldn't be considering the circumstances of your parting. You have no reason to keep it.
To sell. Now, that's what he's going to do, is he not? Or he's going to give it to his new girlfriend.
Who bought it?
His dad bought it.
Whoever bought it, somebody bought it. You didn't buy it. It was given to you in contemplation of you getting married. Marriage never took place.
Well,
My judgment never took place. It was his fault that it never took place.
He should pay.
See, Your Honor, this is all about, she's a very vindictive person.
She's not vindictive, sir. Being vindictive and feeling as if you've been taken for a ride are two different things. You deceived her. You're wrong. You're wrong to have deceived her to try to make up some stationery on your computer with a judicial seal to show her that you were divorced. Doesn't that strike you as being wrong?
Yes, it does.
All right. The wrong's going to cost you a camcorder. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I should have known when I got in the relationship with her that with her being bisexual that, something was going to come up. I had a real big problem with that.
His mother told me to check the divorce, not him. So his own mother doesn't believe him and kicked him out of her home.
And now the next case.
All parties on Crickman versus Phelps. Step forward, please.
25-year-old waitress Rebecca Crickman claims former live-in boyfriend, 25-year-old student Andrew Phelps, owes her for paying off his student loan and various bills.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant were together for a considerable period of time, and during that time, you loaned him some money, right?
Yes.
He says he doesn't know anything about loans, right?
Correct.
So when did this relationship commence? Give me the month and the year. I don't have it in your papers.
We started dating in February of '98, and we broke up the end of February or early March of '99.
1 year. Now, when did you pay this college loan and under what circumstances?
After we started dating, we dated for 4 or 5 months. Things were going really well. We had talked about moving in together in the future. We were talking about moving in around August. And in June, he asked if he could borrow some money to pay off his loan that he still owed his school because he was awarded financial aid that would pay his tuition, books, and $1,800 a quarter living expenses. He would then use the money that was given for living expenses to pay me back, but he couldn't register for school until he had the loan paid off and until he finished a paper.
How much of a loan did he need?
He had stopped working so that he could focus on finishing the paper, and he was trying to find another job that would correspond more with his school because he was working during the day.
So, get to the loan. I'm asking you, how much was the school loan that you paid off for him?
I paid around $1,400 for him to pay for school and for bills initially.
I'm asking you
That's
about the
incorrect.
school loan that
I don't
you're
know
talking
exactly how much the school loan was because I paid in different amounts. I believe it was $1,300, but
Well, I
The
don't
school
know. I
loan was
can't.
$600.
okay, but the amount that I gave him at the time was $1,300.
Show
But
me.
the checks weren't able to be ordered in time for me to be here, but I have it on the statements.
Do your bank statements indicate to whom the checks were payable?
They just show the amount
I'm
that I
not
wrote,
interested.
and then they show in my statement who I wrote the checks for.
Okay. I have one check for $400 to Seattle Pacific University.
That's correct.
$400, school loan payment for Andrew. That was in July of 1998. Did she make that payment for you?
Yes, she did.
All right. Did you pay her back?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't see it as a loan,
What did you see it as?
as a gift.
No.
Just a second. Why would you see that as a gift?
Rebecca and I were in a relationship that was headed towards marriage.
It didn't go there.
It certainly didn't.
So?
So?
Did you loan her any money?
No, I did not.
There was no financial downside for you, right?
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did he give you the money?
No. He didn't finish his...
I don't care what reason it was. You permitted that to happen. Stupidly.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 25-year-old waitress Rebecca Crickman claims former live-in boyfriend, 25-year-old student Andrew Phelps, owes her for paying off his student loan and various bills.
Tell me about the conversation that precipitated this $400 amount that was paid to pay off your school loan.
I don't specifically recall that.
You don't?
No.
Oh, good. Then you can tell me.
Can I just say first?
No. You answer my question. Tell me about this $400.
I wrote out the check, and it was definitely not a gift.
I want you to answer my question.
It was very simple. He asked if he could borrow some money to pay the loan, and then he said, I will pay you back when I get the financial aid, the amount that they are giving me to live on. I had just finished school. I was working 3 nights a week. I wasn't giving
So you
away
remember,
my money.
and you remember that?
Yes.
Good. He doesn't remember that, so I have to credit your testimony. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes.
Good. Now, so you gave him $400. That you can document.
Yes.
What else can you document that you gave him?
Loans for the school and his credit card payments, which I wrote the checks out for. When he moved in August, it was under the condition that he would pay half the rent, half the utilities, the phone charges, but also his own phone calls. So I have all the phone statements for the year that...
August, just a second. August of what year?
August of '98, we moved in together, and he
And he
stayed...
lived there until March of '99.
I moved in June.
You moved in
He did
June?
not
of...
move in
Shh. Better even. Better for your side on this one. So pay careful attention. You always put your foot in it. You moved in June
Yes,
of '98, and you lived there until March of '99.
correct.
Now, you have all the statements there, right?
Yes.
And he never paid any of the bills,
None.
That's
right?
correct.
He was supposed to get the check for school in October.
So you said he was supposed to get his money in October, so you were sort of advancing him the money
Yes.
till October. October comes. Did he give you the money?
No. He didn't finish his...
I don't care what reason it was. Did he give you the money?
No.
And you let him stay? And you let him stay in November?
Mm-hmm.
And in November, did he give you any money?
He wasn't paying... He was paying me for his rent, but he wasn't...
So he paid his rent. So this has nothing to do with rent, correct?
He was short in rent in December and January. I asked him if
Did
he
you?
would...
So did you throw him out?
I told him that if he didn't pay... If he was short on rent again, that he would find his stuff in the hallway. And he did. He found a job. He started paying his bills. Things fell apart anyways because of other reasons.
Miss Crickman, I have absolutely no intention to going over your household bills, your utility bills, your telephone bill, your water bill, your cable bill, for the months that you say he did not contribute when you permitted that to happen stupidly.
I agree.
Stupidly.
I was stupid.
Stupidly, because courts are much too busy to take care of this kind of nonsense. When two people move in together without benefit of marriage, and then they break up, and then they expect you to become a monitor with regard to $15 for cable, $7.50 for water, $12.50 for this. We have no time to do that. So my advice to you in the future, if this ever happens to you again, this is the first time that your boyfriend who's living with you tells you, I can't afford to pay you that, you show him the door. I do think, however, he owes you for money that you outlaid for his school and his credit cards. Even though you don't have the checks and you just have the stubs, I'm going to credit you with those things. Do you understand? So all of that comes to $869.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Is she paying your credit card bill, sir?
She paid 1 or 2 months minimum balance, yes.
Did you ask her to?
Yes, I did.
Why did you ask her to?
I failed to meet them myself, and so I asked my partner to step in and help.
She wasn't your partner that long. What did you contribute to this relationship?
Quite a bit of love, and about 90% of the time I was employed.
You were employed?
No, he was
I
not.
was,
Just a second.
I was too.
You were employed?
There's only 3 months during the
Good.
entire relationship that I was not employed.
Then why didn't you pay her back the money that you took from her for your school?
I contributed as much as I possibly could every single month that I had money.
I've heard that before. I give you anything I had, I don't have anything. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $869, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Count in the matter of Harding versus Zymet.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Harding, you and the defendant signed a lease for a house.
Yes.
It's a large house. You were the only two people on the lease?
Yes.
You moved into the house with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Boyfriend.
Yep.
Ms. Zemet moved in with her 2 children?
Yes.
And there was someone else living in the house, too?
Yes.
Who was that?
Her witness, Jolene.
Ms. Zemet moved out early.
Yes.
And you believe that she should be responsible for the 7 months that was remaining on the lease?
Yes.
Ms. Zemet says that she was forced out because of assaultive behavior by both you and your boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay. When did you sign the lease?
November 1st,
Of what year?
2001.
Did you know each other before you signed the
Yes.
lease? For how long?
Since the 9th grade, about 1994.
So you've known each other a long time?
Yes.
Was there any reason why your 2 names were the only names on the lease?
We were going to move in with another girl that backed out at the last minute, and that's when we had decided to let Jolene move in.
And what about your boyfriend?
He just never signed the lease. It was just between the
Why?
2 of us. I don't know. We just never had put him on it.
But he actually moved in?
Yes.
What was the total rental on the house?
$1,600.
And what was the defendant's responsibility on the lease?
$550.
I'm going to go to you, Ms. Emmett. When did problems arise that you say caused you to move out?
Well, problems arose as soon as we moved in. She was, in my opinion, acting jealous over me and Jolene talking. She would slam doors around. She was just not making it comfortable to be there at all. And then every week it seemed like there was something different that happened. You know, at the beginning of January when she shoved me into a gate, which I have a picture of a bruise that she left on my back.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, it was New Year's Eve. I happened to leave them at the club, not purposely.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, we were at a dance club.
Who was?
Drinking. All of us. And we all left, and I was supposed to bring 2 people home, which I didn't. Not on purpose. No. Not on purpose. Didn't bring them home, which included Jolene and Archie's sister.
You all went to a dance club.
Right.
You were supposed to take 2 people home.
Right.
Jolene and the boyfriend's sister.
Yes.
You didn't do that.
Right.
You say you didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
Because she was highly intoxicated.
You did it. It was accidental.
Right.
But something happened when you got home.
Right. As soon as I walked out of the garage, she came running at me and pushed me into the gate, and the gate handle left a bruise on my back.
And you say you have photographs of it?
I have a photograph, yes.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I'll get to you in a second.
It's hard to see, but you can see.
Okay. Go ahead.
Then the very next weekend, on a Saturday, we were all at the house drinking after the, just having a little party at the house after the bar. And
After what bar?
After just the bar on a Saturday night, you know. We're just,
So you went to a bar Saturday night and you were drinking?
Right, all of us.
And then you came home and you continued to drink?
Right.
Where were your 2 children when all this drinking was going on?
My children were with their father.
Do they live with their father on the
No.
weekends?
Well, it was every other weekend.
Go ahead.
And Archie was, you know, intoxicated. He was yelling at his sister. Me and Jolene were sitting in the kitchen, and we just really didn't want to hear it, you know, like yelling and stuff. So I stood up. I said, it's okay. That's all I said. He started cursing at me and proceeded to throw me across the kitchen. And when I got up, I was crying. And when I was walking away, he poured his beer down my hair. I did call the cops, which I have records of that.
You just have a record that you called the police. You don't have a report.
Right. Here's what happened after I called the cops. I was upstairs in my room when I called the cops, and when they got there, I didn't realize I was upstairs, couldn't hear nothing, and then her and all his family came upstairs to ask me if I called the cops, but they said it.
That is not true.
You didn't call the cops, did you?
I'll get to you in a second.
You didn't call the cops, did you? And I didn't realize the cops were standing right down the hallway, so I said no because I didn't, want to say it to them.
All right. So those were the two instances that you're complaining about that caused you ultimately to move out.
Them are the two biggest ones, yes.
You're Archie.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pour a beer on her?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
I figured you did. Why?
Because I thought that she interfered with something that didn't really have to do with her. She was not in the same room like she said she was when my sister and I had gotten into an argument. We were just talking, just how brother and sister normally do. And she came out of the kitchen, started yelling at us, started swearing at us. She started chewing me out, saying I didn't have no business talking to my sister like that. My sister had said some pretty offensive things to some people.
Okay, so she just came out and she was yelling at you.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I asked her if she could please, get away from our conversation. I was talking to my sister. I didn't think she had any business being there. She kept on insisting on trying to get in between us, trying to push us apart from each other. It wasn't getting physical. It wasn't getting very loud. We were just having a few words, and she intervened.
She's intervening in a family situation. So what did you do?
So I asked her on several occasions.
You told me you asked her to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Move out.
Both
Go.
me
I asked her on several occasions to please sit down, please leave us alone, we're trying to talk.
All right, so you asked her, and she didn't.
She did not.
What happened next?
Then she pushed me.
She pushed you. How did she
pushed me
push
back.
you?
She pushed me by my chest like this.
You mean she put her hands on your chest
Yeah, she put
and
my
pushed
hands
you?
on my chest, yes.
Yes, and what did you do?
I just dumped my beer on her after that. I got frustrated that the fact that she would not, quit talking to me and my sister. I was trying to have a
Did you
conversation
push her
with my
back?
sister. No, I did not.
You just poured your beer on
I
her.
just poured my beer over her head, yes.
And at that point, you were angry.
I was a little upset.
Put your hand down.
I was a little upset, Your Honor. I was not angry. I work at a high stress level job. I don't get angry.
Archie, was it becoming increasingly unpleasant living in the house with the defendant?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
It was very unpleasant. It was unpleasant for you?
Yeah, it was pretty unpleasant.
Was it unpleasant for you?
Yes.
Good. So that you were not unhappy when she left?
Not necessarily.
Good.
Well, I had tried to work things out with her. I tried to sit down and talk to her a number
once she has
of
a fight
times.
with your boyfriend, you're not working things out with her.
It was before that also.
Once she has a fight with your boyfriend, you're not working things out with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She and our other roommate had brought numerous guys over that we all had baseball bats and shovels and jumped my boyfriend. He ended up going to the hospital with 8 staples in his head.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Harding says former roommate Charity Zymet owes for breaking a lease. Charity says she feared for her safety.
Now, you moved out in January?
Yes. Well, I paid January's rent, full January's rent, but I moved out at the beginning, but I still had some stuff there until the end of January.
Okay. Is that true?
No, she did not move out. She put a padlock on her door, and she would come every day, pick up a little of her stuff, and go.
Well, that's what she says. She says she moved out, but she left her stuff there
Yes,
through
she
the end
didn't
of the month.
officially
And she
move
did
out till
pay
the end of January.
And she did pay January's rent.
Your Honor, she did not move out. She was there just about every night of the week.
Fine, but she paid January.
Yes.
Okay. Come February, is she gone?
Yes, she was gone the end of January, but she had not given me any notice.
If you think that I don't see your hand, I do see your hand. I'm not interested in asking you any questions right now.
Your Honor, I asked her numerous times when I could plan on her moving out so that I could find another roommate.
Okay, so now you know at the end of January she's gone. What did you do to find another roommate?
I had asked her numerous times throughout January when she would be out so that I could find another roommate.
Well, you're not listening to my question.
Your Honor, she was...
I said, now you know at the end of January she's out. What did you do then to get another roommate?
I had another roommate set up to move in on March 1st. And she and our other roommate brought numerous guys over that were related to Jolene. And they all had baseball bats and shovels, and they jumped my boyfriend. He ended up going to the hospital with 8 staples in his head. And that caused my roommate not to move in. She was scared to live with us.
And when did that happen?
On February 3rd. I have pictures and hospital reports of what happened.
Was anybody arrested?
No, it's still pending
It's
investigation.
a pending criminal investigation.
So I cannot get a police report. It's not been released yet. You're talking to a homicide investigator.
Did she move out too?
No, she's
after
staying.
that night, after February 3rd.
Okay.
Earlier that night at the club, she was trying to fight with me. My boyfriend stepped in the middle of us. She broke a beer bottle over the side of his head. And so then the bouncers jumped on her, took her out of there. He was trying to press charges. They said she was going to detox. She showed up at the house within an hour. And then within an hour after that, there was about 8 to 10 guys. They were about to break the window to get in the house when my boyfriend opened the door. They pulled him outside. They all had baseball bats and shovels. He was beaten pretty bad, as you can see in those pictures. His cousin and his sister also ran out there and were pretty beaten up, too.
What makes you think that the defendant had anything to do with this?
Because I saw her driving away from there
she
after the guy. She was sitting there on the street in her car when this was all going on. After the police were starting to come, she backed around the corner of the
After she
block.
supposedly moved out of the house, Your Honor.
You mean on February 3rd?
Yeah.
Yes.
This young lady was with her in the car?
She was in one of the cars. She had gone out the side entrance, and she had gotten into a car somewhere else when all this had happened. She must have got in the car before that. When I saw Charity back down the street, she was in the car by herself.
When was the lease up in the apartment?
It's not up until August 31st.
Who's living in the house now?
Just the two of us. We have still yet to find a roommate.
Where are you living now?
I own a house. I had just moved out from my kids' father for a short period of time.
Go back. You're living in a house that you own?
Yep.
When did you purchase the house?
August of 2001.
If you purchased the house in August of 2001, what were you living with them for?
There was problems between me and my kids' father, so I decided to move out for a short time.
So you're back in that house now?
Yes.
Who are you living there with?
My children and my kids' father.
Were you at the house? I'm not going to ask any questions about that. That's part of a pending criminal investigation, so I'm not going to ask any questions about where you were on February 3rd.
Your Honor?
What?
I had an apartment with my boyfriend before. I decided to move in with her and another friend that was going to be getting a divorce from her husband. And she decided to stay with her husband. We were fine in the apartment we had. I decided I wanted to help her out because she wanted to get away from her kids' father. She was dating my boyfriend's friend at the time, and she wanted to get out of that house. She wasn't planning on going back there.
Okay.
She signed the lease till August 31st.
Did you speak to the landlord before you moved out?
Yes, I did. Quite a few times. He told me he would take me off the lease, and that's where I was renting from.
I never received another lease.
Were you, in fact, removed from the lease?
Well, he kept saying he was...
Not well. The answer is either you were removed from the lease or you were not.
Yes, definitely.
Show me.
I don't have any proof. He lives in another state.
Well, you have no proof, and it wasn't then. The only lease that I have is the one that you originally signed.
Well, I spoke to him on the phone quite a few times, and he told me that he would take me off, that he did take me off.
I don't listen to what you tell me. That is hearsay. If you have a lease or a document from the landlord that indicates that you were removed from the lease and your obligations under the lease have been terminated, I will see that. You don't have that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, what efforts did you make to try to find a new roommate to assume your responsibilities under the lease?
It was not my responsibility to find a new roommate.
No, whose was it? Bird's? Whose was it?
Well,
you have a lease.
Correct.
You have an obligation under the lease.
Yes.
Ordinarily, I would say that they have an obligation to mitigate their damages.
Well,
which
she told
I'm
me...
speaking. I want you to try to learn something today. Every day should be a learning experience.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christina Harding says former roommate Charity Zymet owes for breaking an apartment lease. Christina also claims Charity sent friends to beat up her boyfriend, Archie White Eagle.
Listen to me. They have an obligation, if they know that you're moving out, to try to mitigate their damages by finding someone to assume the remainder of your lease. Unless I find that there is some evidence that you and your girlfriend over here have done something that would make it difficult for them to find a new roommate. You also have a responsibility, because if you sign a lease and if you move into a home with the understanding that neither of you could afford this on your own, but together you could afford to maintain a big house like this, then you have a responsibility not only to your landlord, but also to your co-tenant. So I'm asking you, you did not do anything to find another roommate?
Well, she, at first, we did agree about a 2-month notice of getting out. Now, I don't know why she's going for the whole lease. I think she's just upset that the person did not move in, which I do not know the person that was going to move in, but Jolene does. She said that she didn't want to move in the first place. She was just saying she was going to move in to be nice. And this is all what she told Jolene. She said she was never planning on moving in.
Then find somebody. And I'm asking you, what efforts did you make to find somebody? And if your answer is simple, you made no effort to find anybody. Is that right?
Correct.
Good. Listen to me. It was not a pleasant situation living there in the house, clearly. Everybody made a mistake, and everybody's got a bad temper. You had no right to pour beer over her head.
Correct.
None. And she had, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, if she was a reasonable parent, which I'm not so sure about, a lot of drinking going on there, even if her
And
children
her children
weren't
were
home.
there every weekend.
Are you trying to talk over me?
No, I'm sorry.
So I think it's probably a very good idea that she left. Now, are you current in your rent?
Yes.
How are you managing it?
It's really hard.
Do you
I
work?
have tried to start daycare, and I haven't gotten very many children because of the pending investigation, and my boyfriend has been picking up just about most of the rent.
What kind of work do you do?
In security.
Okay, so you've been paying the rent.
Yeah.
Now, when you moved into the house, did you put down security?
Yes.
How much?
I put down 1,000, Charity put down 600, and I have lost that now.
Why?
The landlord said since she moved out, she forfeited her part of it, and...
Oh, no. Don't give me baloney. Security deposit is for any damage that's done. So you don't forfeit that until you move out.
That's just what the landlord said, and I'm going
And you
to
only
fight that if I do
forfeit
move
that
out.
if you move out and there's damage to the property. Is there damage to the
Charity
property?
did
Yes, I
leave
have
the-
pictures of
the
how she left her
place
room
damaged.
also. Holes in the walls and trash all over.
Well, trash it and clean up.
Yes. with
Holes
the-
in the walls is different.
Well, we had to pay for that trash to get hauled away also, Your Honor, out of our own pocket.
Arch, is there anything physically wrong with you?
No.
You had to pay somebody to sweep up?
No, I said we had to physically pay to remove all of her trash that she left
When you
there
say
out of-
physically pay, what does that
We
mean,
had to pay
Archie?
the trash.
We had to pay the trash bill to have all of that stuff hauled away.
No, that's not a big deal. We're not looking at a big deal here. Listen, Miss Zimet, you skipped out on a lease, and you had no reason to skip out on that lease, as far as they're concerned.
And as far as they're concerned, I guess not. In my mind, I did.
You're not speaking for a very good reason, madam. You're not speaking because there is currently an investigation that is pending with regard to a very serious assault. And I don't want to hear you because I don't want you to inculpate yourself or anyone else in this incident that occurred on February 3rd.
There's other incidences that happen, though.
But I'm not going to let you pick and choose what you want to talk about.
Okay.
Perfect. Now we understand each other? Good. She has a $600 security deposit. I suggest you putty up the walls so that you don't lose that part of the security deposit. She moved out, she paid January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Is that right?
August.
No. August will be covered by her security deposit. I will prepare an order that her security deposit is to be released to you.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That covers your last month's rent. So it's 6 months at $550 is $3,300.
I also have bills that she didn't pay for December and January.
What bills?
The trash bill of the electric bill, the water bill, and the cable bill.
Good. Consider that paid for by the dumping of the beer over her head. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 346 on the calendar in the matter of Miller versus Hastings, Washington. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Who are you?
Brenda Hastings. I'm Michelle's mother.
How old is Michelle?
17.
Okay. Miss Miller, Michelle is your son's girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're really suing your son and his girlfriend. Her mother is here because she's a minor.
Yes, ma'am.
It appears from what I've read that you decided to rent a house. You were
Yes, ma'am.
separating from your husband or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And that your son and his girlfriend said that they wanted to come and live with you. You say that this didn't work out, but they owe you for back rent. They owe you for money that they put on your credit card. They have a counterclaim. And their counterclaim involves both of their cars, which they say that you took, you hid, and caused damage to.
No, ma'am.
So that's what the case is about. Very complicated. When did you decide to rent this house?
About the second week of September.
And what was the rent on the house?
$575 a month.
And what was your arrangement with your son and his girlfriend?
I had planned on moving. My husband and I were just going to separate for a little while to work out some differences. There was a duplex that I had been waiting on that was around the corner from the house. My 15-year-old son had told Charlie here that we were moving, and Charlie indicated to him that he needed a place to go. He was tired of the stuff at Brenda's house. I had talked to Charlie.
He had been living with you? Is that right? How old are you?
19.
I had talked to Charlie and told him that was fine. There was no mention of Michelle at the time. That came up later with Charlie saying that she don't really act like she acts, but she'll act better when she's not around her mother. I thought about it for a while, and I said, well, we'll give it a try.
This is a lot of information that I really don't need.
Okay. Well, I went up and asked the landlord, and the landlord said they were renting it.
Okay, fine. So you decided to rent it, and you decided to let the two of them move in with you.
Right.
And what was the financial arrangement with them?
We would go on the rent 3 ways.
Did you discuss that with her mother?
No, ma'am.
And you knew she was 17?
Her mother had put her out. They wanted both. They had asked several times for both of these to put them out. And my young son here, Derek,
Miss Miller,
can tell you.
That's not my question. My question was, you knew that Michelle was 17.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Michelle cannot enter into a contract with you because she's a minor. So if you did not have an agreement with her mother to pay a third of the rent, you cannot sue Michelle for a third of any rent that you believe she owes you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's do away with that. So let's deal with your son. Did your son give you any money towards the rent?
No, ma'am. He gave me $150 to help put on deposits on the utilities.
So he gave you $150?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did they live in the house?
6 weeks.
3
weeks. 6 weeks.
And when did you move out of the house?
The 28th.
Of September?
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie did not move out of that house until the 10th of October.
I moved out the 28th.
You stayed there. You were on the run from the police.
Just a second. Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
What rent do you believe your son owes you?
For him and Michelle, then it should have been half of the $575.
No. Miss Miller. He's supposed to pay a third of the rent, right?
Right. But I have a 15-year-old at home that these two here complained what was his part of the rent because he was getting child support.
Did you move in with another child?
The 15-year-old moved in shortly after these two did. He didn't stay there all the time, but he was there.
What about you? Did you move in?
I didn't move in until the 24th
of September. September?
No, August. Oh, no, it was September. I'm sorry. I didn't even stay there half of the time.
Miss
I
Miller,
stayed maybe a whole week
Miss
out of
Miller, did you move in August 24th or September 24th?
September 24th.
Okay. Well, let's go to the credit cards that you say that they used. How did they come to have possession of your credit cards?
They didn't have possessions. We had an agreement. I have a letter from the landlord because Mrs. Hastings was putting them out. We had an agreement to try to get the house livable for them to live in so they had a roof over their heads. And
you're talking about credit cards, Miss Miller. Let me hear about the credit cards money.
I put my credit cards, to get the house in order for them to live in, it had to have floors, it had to have cabinets, it had to have everything. The house was gutted out. It had to have everything.
So is that what was put on your credit card?
Yes.
So why do you think they should pay for that?
Because we're in agreement. Mrs. Hastings put them out.
Negative.
Stop saying Mrs. Hastings put them out. It doesn't make any difference whether she put them out or not. Now, am I correct?
It does make a difference.
No,
yes,
it doesn't make a difference legally.
Her mother put them out. He didn't have a place to go. He cannot go to my house that I own. My husband will not let him stay there. He's already ripped us off. He's breaking into the house. He's broken into the garage. He's not allowed on the property. Okay?
Miss Miller.
I did what I could to get him a roof over his head.
Miss Miller, you're his mother. Listen to me. You're his mother.
Excuse me, ma'am. But I've got papers. This boy has been in and out of jail, detentions. He was stolen from me when he was 14 months old. I've got legal documents, Charlie, to prove it all.
Miss Miller.
He's on drugs. I've tried for years to get him help, okay?
Miss Miller, listen to me. I understand that you have a frustration with him.
If you helped him out as much as I have in a lifetime, you would too.
Miss Miller, listen to me. If Miss Hastings allowed your son to come and live in her house with her 17-year-old daughter, then she's got rocks in her head and probably decided she had had enough. Bottom line, that's your son. It's not her son. And if she had had enough of him and was putting him out, and her daughter Michelle says, I'm not staying here without him, then she says, you want to go with him? Go with him.
He's been living there with her since she was 15 and he was 17.
You want to know something?
And she's put him out 3 times.
Miss
And
Miller.
I have been there.
Miss
Charlie.
Miller.
Nick.
Miss Miller.
Yeah, okay.
Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son. And if she's put him out 3 times, and if he was living there from the time he was 17 years old, it had to have been because you and your husband put him out.
Exactly.
No, he left
Exactly.
on his, no, you left on your own
Miss
because
Miller,
you
don't
were
talk
on
to him.
drugs, Charlie.
Miss
You were
Miller,
selling drugs
1, 2,
out of my
3.
house.
Miss Miller.
And I called the police
Put her
on you.
outside.
That's why you left.
Put her outside. I'm going to let you cool off outside, Miss Miller.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bettina Miller says her son Charlie Washington, his girlfriend Michelle Hastings, and Michelle's mother Brenda owe for rent and repairs to her home.
Miss Miller, you can't talk to your son. This is not time for you to shout at your son when you're in a court. Time to do that is when you had him in therapy when he was 7 years old. If your son has been giving you problems and moved out of your house, whether you put him out of your house or whether he left voluntarily, you knew where he was living with the Hastings family and their daughter. That was probably a major error on their part. Some people do that. I never quite understand why they've taken somebody else's problem into their home. But be that as it may, if you decided that you wanted to put a roof over your son's head as his mother, that's what your job is. That kind of unconditional love is what you do for a child, even if they drive you crazy. Are you currently living in the house?
No, ma'am.
Did you decide to go back to your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you are now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you're going to stay, you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the cars. You took your son's car out of impound?
I paid to get it out, yes, ma'am.
What'd you do with it?
Set it in my backyard.
And what happened to it?
It sat there until the day that he came and threatened me. And then I took it down on the corner where I told him and the police officer that I would set it and left the keys in it, that in the Nissan.
And somebody stole it?
I don't know.
Well, it wasn't found on the corner, is that right?
I don't know where they found it at.
Where did you find your car?
I found mine in a ditch on Orville Smith.
It was not in a ditch. I got pictures of where I left it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what you're saying is somebody took the car after you left it there with the keys in it. Why'd you leave it there with the keys in it?
There was no keys in it.
There was keys in it.
Crazy.
When you left it, the keys were in it. So I'm asking you, why did you leave it with the keys in the car?
He came, he harassed me. I didn't want him on the property. And for him to come get the keys, then he would have to come on the property. And I talked to him in the back of the police car and told him.
What were the police doing there?
I called him because he threatened me.
When did he threaten you?
When he came to the house.
Was this after he had moved out of the rental house?
No, he was in jail. He had just gotten out October 31st, and I didn't know he was out of jail.
What was he in jail for?
Theft of property from an auto and breaking and entering of an auto.
What were you in jail for?
Assault the third.
He was also in jail for that.
Assault the third.
Who did you assault?
My girlfriend.
You ever arrested for breaking and entering?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
In 97.
What about auto theft?
Yes, ma'am.
So you got his car out of impound, you told the police he had threatened you, you were taking the car, you were parking it at the corner, you were leaving the keys in the car, and that's the last you know of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you found the car when you got out of jail, sir?
I did.
Where did you find it?
It's on Orville Smith Road. She parked it in the edge of the woods.
No, she doesn't park it anywhere. You found it there. You didn't
I
see
found it there.
You found it there.
I got out and I looked and I turned around and I went back to my house. And I brought him down there and he couldn't find no keys nowhere in the car.
Well, maybe somebody who stole the car took the keys after they finished joyriding in the car. What about your car?
Well, my mother and my father found it in a hayfield.
What makes you think that Miss Miller took your car?
Because she stole the keys out of my purse. I didn't have it in my possession.
No, I did not steal the keys from her purse. This key goes to a car of Charlie's that he has in their yard. I don't know if it runs or not, but it was on this key ring with this key. And when I talked to Charlie on the phone after he had beat up Michelle, he told me one of them keys went to the car. And that's how I got the car.
So what did you do with the car?
Charlie explained for me to take the car to my house and park it and not to let Michelle have the car.
You mean her car?
No, it's his car. It's legally in his name.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is your car, the car that you're talking about, that you're suing over, in whose name is that car titled?
Yes.
You have 2 cars titled in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
What year cars are they?
94 and 87.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I was working at Arby's.
At Arby's? Who bought the cars?
I bought one, she bought one. But she wasn't old enough to put it in her name, so I signed for it.
Why didn't her mother sign for it?
Because they went and got it without me. I was at work. They went looking at cars. They picked out one, and she bought it.
Miss Hastings,
Yes.
is he still living in your house?
He is right now, yeah.
You had him arrested for beating up your daughter.
My husband
You've thrown him out of your house at least 3 times.
No.
He left your house 3 times in the last 2 years. You took him into his house,
He has
into
been
your
in the
house when he
house
was
a year.
17 years old. Since he was 17 years old, he's been arrested several times, according to him, for a variety of things. Breaking and entering, auto theft, assaulting your daughter. Would you kindly tell me what kind of medication you're on? Because I want to take some. If you don't see that he's not right for her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Atina Miller says her son Charlie Washington, his girlfriend Michelle Hastings, and Michelle's mother Brenda owe for rent and repairs to her home.
Miss Hastings, he's not right for her.
He may not be right for her, but everybody has to make their own choices. And
Hey. Everybody has to make their own choices once they're an adult. Until you're an adult, your parents help you make those choices, and they don't do things that encourage you to make bad choices.
well, Tina has put her son out several times.
Tina's son is a bum. Was your daughter a bum when she was 15?
No, my daughter was in school when she was 15.
Is she still in school?
She's going to night classes.
No. Before she met him, she was in school.
Yeah, but she...
After she met him, she's not in school.
Had nothing to do with him.
Oh, listen, Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you some words of advice. Is this the first child that you've had that's been in trouble?
Yes, ma'am.
You think you know how to deal with it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you're dealing with it.
I work with the best I can.
My advice to you is you be there as a backup in case of an emergency, in case something bad happens. But until he grows up and stops doing things that are both harmful to himself, to the people that care about him, and to you, he's going to have to make his own mistakes. If you put yourself in a financial position where you've stretched your finances, it's a foolish thing to do. Because what will happen is he will never be forced to grow up. You tell me you put him out of the house, or he left the house when he was 15. The Hastings took him in. And when the Hastings decided to put him out, you provided a roof over his head. He's never had to grow up and face responsibility. Had 2 cars titled in his name, working at Arby's.
Well, he didn't buy the car. The Firebird was given to him as a gift by me and my husband. I did not put him out of the house. He had a choice. He could go to jail or he could go back to Michigan to his dad. He took off on his own. He was on the run. We did look for him. He stayed with a friend of his up in a trailer, drinking, getting high. The owner of the trailer came to our house, wanted to know what was up. We went up there. He was gone.
Okay. Miss Hastings, I've already told you what I think of the fact that you allowed him to move back into your house after he beat up your daughter. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Absolutely the dumbest. And if your daughter wants to be dumb enough to take off with him, as you said, people make their own choices. But you're making it real comfortable for her to do things that ultimately are going to be devastating.
It doesn't matter in what they have done. I mean, it's the car situation. It's her having them to move into a rental house because her marriage, she moved out.
Listen to me. I'm not dealing with your lawsuits. Both of your lawsuits are nonsense. Hers, she cannot convince me that her son owes her any money. With regard to the cars, you have no proof whatsoever that your mother took your car, put it in a ditch. She says that after an argument with you, she told the police, I'm putting the car on the street corner with the keys in it. I don't want him anywhere near my house. A reasonable explanation is that somebody walked by, saw the keys in the car, took it for a joyride, and trashed it. I think that both of you, but especially you, Miss Hastings, I don't understand you at all. What do you do all day, sir?
Now,
Now.
go to school
No, you don't.
at night.
I asked you what you did during the day. Don't tell me that you go to school at night. What do you do all day?
Hunt for jobs.
Hunt for jobs. Michelle, what do you do all day?
Work.
Where?
At Walmart.
You work 5 days a week?
8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
And you come home and he's watching TV? Michelle, look at me. You come home and he's watching TV?
I don't know what he does during the day.
Michelle, before you get pregnant, get smart. You'll be working at Walmart, 9 months pregnant, and he's going to be sitting home playing with Nintendo that you will have bought him for Christmas. Get smart. Cases are dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may have seats, please.
Mrs. Fritz, you are really here as what I call a nominal defendant. You are suing on behalf of your son over repercussions of this incident. Is that right?
That's correct.
Kevin, step up here, please. Mrs. Fritz, I'd like you to have a seat.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffiths, back in February of 2000, there was an incident that started at a gas station. As a result of that incident, it was your claim that the defendant severely assaulted you. He was arrested. That case went to trial. He was convicted. That case was appealed once. Your appeal was denied. It was appealed again. And just recently, the conviction was overturned, and you were acquitted of the charges. You are now suing the defendant civilly for the injuries that you sustained as a result of this altercation. And there is a cross-claim by Mrs. Fritz, because it is their claim that your actions instigated this incident, and she and her family and her son were put through well over a year of torture. So, Mr. Griffin, I'd like you to tell me your version of the events of the 7th of February, 2000.
Okay, I was filling up my truck. I had a truck and trailer.
At a gas station?
At a gas station. I started to walk around my trailer on the driver's side, and Kevin Fritz was driving a vehicle that spun out real recklessly. He almost hit me.
Okay, he didn't hit you.
No, it was so close. I was scared. I was scared to death. I yelled. Jesse Letterman.
Someone in the passenger seat.
In the passenger seat. Started yelling obscenities. I got upset. I was scared. I thought he was going to pull a weapon. I used necessary force.
No. Don't tell me you used necessary force. What did you do?
I slapped him across the face.
So you walked up to the car.
It was real close.
You had to have walked
I made a step, ma'am.
Towards the car?
Yes, ma'am.
You reached into the car and slapped the passenger.
After I heard him reaching for something.
Don't make things up, Mr. Griffin.
I'm not,
Listen to
ma'am.
me. You didn't hear him reach for anything. I've been in this business a long time. You slapped him. You didn't hurt him, I assume, but you slapped him with an open hand?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
He exited the vehicle, went into the store, and called the police, from what I know.
So he got out of the car. He didn't confront you.
Oh, he confronted me, man. He was yelling.
How did he confront you?
He was cussing. He was yelling, saying he's going to go call the police.
And that's what he did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What happened next?
He came out of the store. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him making a fist up like he was going to hit me, and I dropped him on his butt. I did a slide kick and dropped him on his butt.
Okay, let's do this slowly. Had you finished with your car, filling up your car?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he say anything to you?
Oh, yeah, he was cussing.
And the next physical thing that happened was what?
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him reaching up to hit me, and I drop slide kicked him, put him on the ground.
What happened next?
Kevin Fritz ran up from behind, from what witnesses say. But
You didn't see anything else?
I didn't see anything till after.
That's the last thing you remember, drop kicking his friend to the ground.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you woke up?
No, ma'am, no. I'd never lost consciousness. What happened was Kevin Fritz came from behind, from what witnesses say.
You can't tell me what witnesses say, sir.
But this is the key fact. I remember him hitting me in the forehead where I've got a permanent scar, and I remember seeing him.
Okay.
Okay?
I don't think that he denies that. Is that right?
That's right.
Did the police arrive subsequently?
Shortly after.
You have the police reports?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them.
There's some medical records in here, ma'am.
I'd like to see those.
I want to keep them confidential.
Okay. Were you with anyone else, sir?
Yes, I was.
What's the name of the person you were with?
Daniel.
All right, Mr. Fritz, I'd like to hear your version of these events. You and your friends are driving in a car, perhaps a little too quickly. What happened next?
I was the one driving. Jesse was a passenger, obviously. We had Amber, a friend of ours, in the back. We heard just screaming. It was cussing and vulgarities. And we looked outside, and there he was, like 20 feet away, screaming at us, and we didn't know what for, so we, you know, obviously started screaming back. And as he went up to the car, Jesse reaches to roll up the window, shut him out.
What'd you go into the gas station for in the first place?
We were using the phone. And as we pull off, we hear him screaming and cussing, and Jesse reaches to roll up the window because, you know, you're thinking, what is he doing, blah, blah, blah. And he slaps him. So I put the car in reverse. We pull back up to the phone that we were just at, and we're like, all right, that's assault, Jesse, go call the police. He walks into the Dodger store to use the telephone, and as he walks out...
And you're sitting in the car?
Yes, me and Amber.
While you were sitting in the car, did you notice where Mr. Griffiths was?
Yes, he walked back to his truck as Jesse went into the store.
Where did he go when he came out?
He got about 10 feet away before they started arguing. Jesse told him he just called the police. Don't take off, the police are coming, I'm gonna file a charge on you, you know, assault. Me and Amber were talking, and second I looked up, all I knew is Mr. Griffith and his buddy were hovering over Jesse, and he was on the ground.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hondo Griffiths claims 19-year-old Kevin Fritz attacked him with a socket wrench. Kevin says he was defending his friend.
What did you do?
Whenever I looked up, I just saw him on the ground, and I knew I had no idea what they had done to him. I just knew he was on the ground or whatever else. I grabbed a socket wrench that was under the front seat and ran over there screaming at him and got no response, to where I hit him and his buddy came around Jesse swinging at me like, oh, crazy or whatever. Hit me one time, and so I retaliated and hit him. And I got Jesse, and I was like, all right, let's go to the car. The cops are coming anyway. Because I didn't know if they had a gun in the car or a knife, or if they're going to retaliate back on what I just had done. Anything's possible after that point. So we take off, get less than a block away, and they tell us to come back to the store. We did.
But Jesse.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear you. The first thing that happened that you remember, first physical contact, was being slapped by Mr. Griffin. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me how that happened.
Like Kevin said, I was in the car, and we were driving off, and we heard somebody yelling at us, and we didn't know what it was for. Realized he was shouting about the way we were driving, because I listened to part of what he said, and I shouted back at him, and he comes up to the window. He's shouting right by the window, I guess, for like 10 seconds or so, and I don't want him in my face anymore, so I reach to roll up the window, and he slaps me at that point, and so I get out of the car.
You got angry, as you rightfully should have. Got out and made a phone call and called the police. Now, I want you to tell me what happened when you came out.
Well, I came out of the building, and I notified them that I had called the police.
What did you say to him?
I said, well, before I went in the building, I told him I was going to call the cops, and I told them that they were on their way to stay here. And we started yelling. I can't remember exactly what we were saying. We were still really, adrenaline was pumping. We were still really just going at it. And then he came up to me and like punched me like this, you know, on my chest, and then swept kicked me on my feet and got me on the ground.
What happened when you fell to the ground?
He got even closer and just stood over me like this and looking down at me. And
Did you
Daniel,
see a second person?
Yes, ma'am. He basically followed what Honda was doing and stood over me.
Just stood over you?
Stood over me.
Are you in possession of any other police reports?
I think we have some, yeah.
Ask your mom if she can help you. I want to make sure I have them all.
It's all spread out.
This is it right here. That's a police report.
Do you want me to bring it up to you?
What are you doing with a wrench in the car?
It was actually supposed to be in the trunk at the time, and we had used it before to help somebody with changing out a tire or something, and we just kept it in the front.
Did you keep it in the front for protection, Mr. Fritz?
It wasn't my car.
Whose car was it?
Jesse's.
So it was your car? You
Yes,
keep that wrench in front there for protection?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
All right. Don't bull me, please, because that's not a smart thing to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? If you were older, it wouldn't be smarter. At your age, to try to fool me is really an act of stupidity. You have the appellate decision?
Yes.
This isn't the appellate decision.
That is what they gave us. In January 31st, we went back to court, and it was dismissed. I do have, though, from the Tennessee Claims Commission, Hondo evidently tried to get victims' compensation, and he was denied that because it was obvious that it was his fault.
Mr. Fritz, how many days did you spend in juvenile detention?
32 days.
Was that your first time in juvenile detention?
No, it wasn't.
When was the time immediately preceding that?
When I was 16.
For what?
Unruly. It was actually a runaway charge.
Other than the, what we call a person in need of supervision, unruly, had you ever been arrested for a crime before?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
Again, when I was 16.
For what?
It was a DUI.
So one DUI, one incorrigible, and one assault.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, by the time you're 16. And what about you, Mr. Letterman?
Yes, ma'am. I had been arrested for petty theft at a gas station.
Is that your only arrest, Mr. Letterman?
Yes, ma'am. At that time, it was.
And now?
No.
What do you mean at that time?
Well, at that time, it was. I had a little bout with a credit card that they gave me checks for, and I wrote them for over the amount, so they got treated as personal checks, and I got 2 arrests for those.
Bad checks?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old were you when you had these bad checks?
I wrote them when I was like 18, I guess, and they just came through and served a warrant on them.
You should never give kids who are 18 years old a credit card and those blank checks. You had a bench trial with regard to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And the judge found you guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did your family hire a lawyer, or did you use a state lawyer?
We had an attorney.
Did you pay the attorney?
Yes, we did.
How much?
I'm not sure.
We had a public defender at that time.
You had a public defender.
Oh, all right. Well, I was a juvenile, yeah. Public defender.
Mr. Fritz, I'm going to give you some very good advice that's going to last you for a long time. Sometimes people have problems saying these words, but I want you to listen to them very carefully. I don't know. When somebody asks you a question and you really don't have the information, you don't make something up. You say, I don't know.
Okay.
Guys sometimes have a problem saying that. So they make up things.
All right.
And we call them a Fritz fact. You know.
Say that again?
We'd call that a Fritz fact rather than the truth.
A Fritz fact?
A Fritz fact. That's your last name. It's a Fritz fact.
Right.
Not necessarily true, but something that you made up. So when I ask you a question, I expect an answer.
I was pretty sure that we had hired him, so I didn't know.
Well, I guarantee you that if your family had spent $15,000 or $20,000 on a lawyer, you would have known.
Yeah, I'd probably hear about it.
All right, Mr. Griffin. All boils down to this. Did your actions precipitate what happened that day? And if they did they precipitate them to the extent that the defendant was justified in taking the action he did?
No, ma'am.
Oh, I think that they did. You did not go up to this car and slap this young man for the purposes of defending yourself. If you did, given what little we know about you, you were in the Marine Corps?
No, ma'am.
Military?
Yes, ma'am.
You would have grabbed him by the collar, pulled him out of the car if you felt as if you were in danger.
Not necessarily so, ma'am.
Oh, well, that's what I think. And what I think is the only thing that's important. What you did was you humiliated him. You were shouting obscenities at each other. You approached the passenger side of the car, and you slapped him. You can't do that.
May I say something, please?
No, you told me your story. You have absolutely no right. because you could have extricated yourself very easily from the situation by getting in your truck, which was already filled up with gas, and leaving. Chose not to do that. You chose to continue to engage in a confrontation, and you went up there, and the first physical movement was you touching him. Now, you didn't hurt him. You slapped him. You humiliated him. And what did he do? He did not get out of the car to punch you. He said, I'm going in to call the police. Did what he was supposed to do. Now, you would have me believe, Mr. Griffith, that after he went inside and called the police to come and respond because he had been assaulted, his intention was to come outside and assault you while he was waiting for the police to come. Because that's what you said to me. You said he came out and he had a fist up as if he was going to hit me. Doesn't make sense. I mean, he may be a stupid kid, but he's not crazy. You don't call the police and then
I'm sorry.
We'll get to your case in a minute. You don't do that. No normal person does that. Calls the police and said, well, now I'm going to assault him and really give it to him. You were still angry, and you kicked him. That was the second physical contact initiated by you, Mr. Griffin. And then your friend came over, and now there are two people over him. All he sees is his friend down, being hit for the second time.
It's not true, ma'am.
That's what you told me.
I didn't say anything about afterwards. My friend ran up to protect me and tackled him.
No. Sir, you just testified, Mr. Griffin, that he came out of the store, you were yelling and screaming back at one another, he balled up a fist as if he was going to hit you, and you drop-kicked him to the ground. When Mr. Fritz turned around and saw you and around him, knowing you had slapped him before, and for one reason or another, he's down on the ground now, he took action to protect his friend. And that's what the appellate court, in all probability, said, that this was an unfortunate incident, but certainly not one for which he should be held criminally responsible, because the physical part of this altercation was initiated by you. So, sir, your complaint is dismissed. Now let us get to your counterclaim, which is also dismissed, because as cute as you are here today, I have a feeling you're a wise guy. Now, was there another way that you could have dealt with this other than hitting him over the head with a socket wrench? Perhaps. Perhaps. Do I think that you were maybe a little bit out of control that day, driving your car in a fashion that almost hurt Mr. Griffith? Perhaps. The justice system worked because you were found guilty by one judge beyond a reasonable doubt. The second appeal, which they went over all of the records, which they clearly found that there was substantial evidence, not evidence beyond a reasonable doubt, substantial evidence, far more evidence than I need at this trial, found that you were guilty. I certainly hope that the next 30 or 40 years of your life are spent outside the court system. Are you living at home now?
No, ma'am.
Where are you living?
In an apartment.
How old are you?
19.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a cook at Hooters.
See what I mean? Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Davis, according to the complaint that I've read, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time. It is your claim that when you moved in together, you put down a substantial amount of money, almost, I think, $4,000. You call it a down payment on the house. You say that Mr. Brown subsequently kicked you out of the house and you want that money back. You also said that he's used a video card where you rent videos from a store without your permission. It belonged to you. He didn't return the videos, and you now have a very extensive bill from that store. Mr. Brown says you never gave him a dime, and he's got a counterclaim for bills that he claims you owe him, and he says you've been bothering him that he doesn't like, so he wants you to pay for his trouble. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Miss Davis, when did you move in with the defendant?
Your Honor, I would like to tell you how my ex-boyfriend did me wrong. He moved in with me in November of 2000.
But listen to my question. When did you move in together in a place where you claim you put money down?
In June of 2001.
That's wrong.
Shh. Now listen, I'm going to get to you. So don't interrupt her. If we do things in a very orderly way here, it's the only way that I can function. Otherwise, I become frustrated. And Bird doesn't like it when I get frustrated. When did you move in together? June of 2001. Very good. And was this a house or an apartment?
It was a mobile home.
Was it a rental?
No, ma'am.
He bought it?
Process of buying, yes, ma'am.
And you say you gave him how much money?
It was $4,366.
And where did you get that money from?
I traded my mobile home in on the one that he purchased.
Okay. Do you have any evidence of that transaction? All right, sir. I seem to have some evidence would tend to indicate, Mr. Brown, that she did not, in fact, give you any money towards the purpose of your mobile home.
Exactly. She did not.
Listen to me carefully, sir. I have evidence that she did not give you any money towards the purchase of your mobile home. But I have evidence here that she traded in her mobile home as a partial down payment for a mobile home that went into your name.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. What has transpired was a mobile home that was sold from her cousin to me for $500, which we used as a trade-in.
Yeah, but they gave you credit for $4,366 as a down payment credit.
That was the value of the mobile home. I'm buying something for $500 and trading in for another amount. That's just like a good business transaction. Does it make sense? It's a profitable business transaction. If you can buy a car for $200 and sell it for $2,000, that's a smart buy. So that's exactly what I did. I took a smart buy and used it to advance in a better home for me and my children.
Something doesn't sound right, sir.
It doesn't sound
Does it sound right to you? He buys it for $500 from her cousin and then uses it, and they give him a down payment credit of $4,366.
I also gave in a $2,500 cash deposit as well.
On or about June 26, 2001, traded in her 1964 Windsor mobile home as a down payment on a 1998 Horton manufactured home.
Right.
This 1998 Horton manufactured was being purchased by David R. Brown. We gave Miss $4,366 on a down payment credit on the 1998 Horton.
Yes. Now, where's her name? Is that on any of the transaction?
Show that to him.
Your Honor, the reason why my name is not on there because the title was never changed over into my name, but I have a receipt where I purchased the mobile home before I met him.
That's for a different mobile home she's speaking of. And we never used that mobile home as a trade-in. This right here is sufficient. This right here is sufficient. And her name is not on there in the transaction because she has no involvement in the transaction.
I never said my name was on the mobile home, Your Honor.
She gave me these monies in her mobile home, and her name is not on anything. Does that make any sense?
That is my cousin.
Her cousin.
Ah. So they gave Miss $4,366 for the down payment.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Forget it. I don't look into that. Your name was not on the title to that mobile home?
No, ma'am.
All right,
at
then
the
forget
time,
it.
I did not have a job, but I have a receipt where I bought the mobile home from Miss.
Show me.
Do you have the receipt?
You mean this? $500?
Yes, and I also have this right here.
You have this? Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
That's nothing. That's nothing. That's something that you buy in a grocery store.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She won't leave me alone. We broke up, let it go. I guess she's steady looking for a payout for something she knows she's not owed to.
Mr. Brown, I believe you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Morticia Davis says ex-boyfriend David Brown owes her for the down payment on a mobile home and unpaid video rentals. David says her lawsuit is bogus.
Now, what about this video card?
When I got evicted off the mobile home, he used my Blockbuster
When did he evict
card.
you from the mobile home?
May. She moved out of the home before the eviction took place. So therefore,
What do you mean there was an eviction? Had you gone to court to evict her?
I went to court to evict her.
Why is that?
Because there was South Carolina state law. If once someone established residence in your home, in order for them to move out against their will, you have to evict them out.
All right, so the relationship wasn't going well, I assume.
It was downhill from...
Do you have children together?
No, we do not, thank God.
Perfect. Okay. So what about this video card?
Well, when he got his new girlfriend evicted me, I got some bills in the mail, which he used my card illegally at 3 different Blockbusters, never took the videos back.
Show me. You were evicted in May, is that right? Yeah. Well, this is March of 2002.
Thank you.
This is March of 2002.
That's when he used
This
the
is
card,
March
Your
of
Honor.
2002.
And we both
This
resided.
is, this is March of 2002, and this is March of 2002. So
After I got evicted, that's when I got the bills in the mail, which he had used them.
No.
Well, listen to me. Miss Davis, you lived together in March of 2002. You were
He
sharing
was not
a home.
there in March, Your Honor. He was not there. He lived with his new girlfriend until I got evicted.
Lies.
He was
Listen
not
to
there.
me.
Lie.
You kind of,
She's lying, Your Honor.
I don't want to say it again. It doesn't appear as if you're doing badly in this lawsuit so far. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
But what can happen is you can lose if you open your mouth again. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
You have any of these movies home, sir?
No, I do not.
It's not going to admit.
Do you know where they are?
They last was left in the home that she was residing in. Now, what she did with them after that, I don't know.
Your Honor, that's not true.
I haven't been back to the house. At the time, I was out the house from late part of March all the way up until April, May.
Now he,
back in May.
Don't interrupt him.
Back into May.
All right, you have no case, Miss Davis. That's you. You want to get to your counterclaim? Mr. Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You said she owes you bills.
Yes, ma'am.
What does she owe you bills for?
For rent, electric bill.
She doesn't owe you for rent. You weren't anticipating any rent from her.
I loaned her a few $100s for a couple of car note payments.
Yeah, go ahead. What else?
And
chalk it up to experience. What else?
Harassment.
Well, I have a feeling that that's true, that she's been harassing you.
And she just don't.
I have a feeling that that's probably true. So you want to tell me about the harassment?
I mean, she caused problems with me at work. She caused problems with me and my children. I'm a single parent of 2 children. Today is my son's birthday. I should be home with him instead of her in this courtroom. But Ms. Davis, again, want to file a lawsuit that she have no bearing to hold on. So therefore, it's just constantly, she won't leave me alone. We broke up, let it go. But yes, she's steady looking for a payout for something she knows she's not owed to.
I believe you. I believe that she has made it her mission at this portion in her life to make your life miserable. That's what I believe. Put your hand down.
Judge.
Why can't you just say it didn't work out, period, end of discussion? While you were living together for that year, where were you working?
Interim health care.
Okay.
And I took care of 4 kids.
What did you do with your money?
I paid bills.
What bills?
I have light bills, water bills, phone bills.
Mm-hmm. He paid the rent?
Yes, that's all he paid was the rent and the land payment.
What about the food?
I got that.
No.
Really?
I was on food stamps, Your Honor.
Was not. She was not. And as far as the electric bills and bills, those bills are in my name. And then she couldn't pay those bills. That's why I'm here now about the electric bill and bills that she has now.
Your Honor, I have these bills. Yes, they was in his name, but I paid them.
Show me.
After the fact that I left the house and I had these utilities cut off because she refused to pay them.
You mean
was running them up in my name.
after you left in March?
After I left in March. She was running them up in my name. Therefore, I had these bills.
Your
these
Honor, that's
utilities
not true.
disconnected.
Yeah, this is April. I want to see anything before that, madam, before you were in the house by yourself. You have proof that you paid any bills?
I paid all my bills, Your Honor.
Listen to what I'm saying.
No, Your
to
Honor,
you.
that is all I have.
Right. That I can understand.
And
He
Mr.
moved
Brown
out.
had those bills in his name because he moved up there before I did. That's why they was in his name.
Full attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have a checking account?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So all you have to do was to bring to court today, since you knew that he was counterclaiming for bills.
Your Honor, I didn't
proof,
know.
Proof? What do you mean you didn't know?
I didn't know he was countersuing me.
Really? When did you file your counterclaim, sir?
Monday.
When did you serve her?
He haven't.
Oh, then it's dismissed. Your counterclaim's dismissed. But not only is your counterclaim dismissed, Mr. Brown, but so is your lawsuit. And I'm going to make this suggestion to you. Sometimes things don't work out. How old are you?
I'm 24.
You have children?
I have 2. I'm a single parent.
Put a period, this is over, and devote all of your energies to working and your 2 children. Leave him alone. He doesn't owe you any money. Goodbye.
I don't harass him, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He jumped on me twice, and the mobile home was mine, which I didn't have the title with me.
Many a times she had me arrested for domestic criminal violence, something that I didn't do.
He's not going to do anything without being in the courtroom because he thinks he can get away with a lot of stuff.
She came in here, Judge Judy seen between the lies and what she was trying to tell, didn't get nothing. Justice was served for the first time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Robinson versus Bradford. Step forward, please.
Psychotherapist Cliff Robinson is suing his former friend, lab technician Angela Bradford, for the cost to repair his car window. Angela is countersuing also for the cost of a car window.
Mr. Robinson, it is your claim that the defendant's son broke a window in your car, that the defendant, who was a friend of yours, agreed to fix it and did not pay you the money that it cost you to fix this rear window. Was it a rear window of your car?
Rear quarter panel, yes.
Ms. Bradford says, I think she's saying that she had initially agreed to pay for the window. Is that right?
That is correct.
But later, your son broke one of her windows in her car, and you should pay for that window. Is that your defense?
It is.
So let's make this as simple as we can, because Bird knows that I like to keep things simple. How much was the window in your car, Mr. Robinson?
The window itself, Your Honor, came to $972.29.
Let me see.
I have pictures and the estimate.
Well, I'm just curious because in here you say that my window cost $800 to replace, sir.
That's with the labor and what it cost to.
What did it cost you?
$972, whatever the difference was.
How did you pay for this?
Cash.
No. Not even sure about this bill. What kind of window was this?
It's a rear quarter panel window in the Eddie Bauer Expedition.
Oh, so it's a big window.
It's a big window.
Okay. Now, the only question that I have is whether or not you are in any way responsible for damage that she alleges your son did to her window. So, Ms. Bradford, I read your answer and I read your cross-complaint. And it appeared to me that you two were friends.
Correct.
How many children do you have?
I have 4.
And there came a time when, after this incident involving his car, he brought his kids over to your house to play.
Correct.
And asked you if you would watch his kids for a while.
For 15 minutes, which turned into an hour and a half.
Whatever. You agreed to take care of his children. And it was while you were in charge of his children that your car window was broken.
Correct.
Should have taken care of him better. Do you understand?
I hear exactly what you're saying.
Okay. Because it was your job to supervise the children, because you had assumed that responsibility when he left his kids there. Therefore, if something happened to your car as a result of a ball being thrown, that's your problem, not his. It's a lot of money. Do you have any insurance, sir?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Well, what's your deductible?
$1,000.
Do you have any proof that you have a $1,000 deductible?
I didn't bring any insurance with the information.
Why is that?
I didn't think it was relevant.
Well, it is relevant, sir. It's relevant how much out-of-pocket you had. Are you telling me that you actually paid Collins Auto Glass $972 in
That's
cash?
correct.
Let's give them a call and find out. You know these people?
No, I don't.
They were just people you chose randomly?
That's correct.
Okay. In Seattle, Washington, for Collins Auto Glass. So there is no Collins Auto Glass in Seattle. Mr. Robinson, sir, is this Collins Auto Glass in Seattle?
Yes, it is.
Well, they don't have a listing for him in Seattle, sir.
Well, I know
They don't have a listing for him in Seattle, Washington. There is a phone number on here, sir. 206 number. There is a phone number here. It's your phone number. The only phone number that appears on this is your phone number.
Yeah, my information is on there, and then in the... I don't know.
Show it to him.
Yeah, that's my telephone number.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, no. I don't.
Collins Auto Glass doesn't have a phone number for their business. They also don't know how to spell residential.
Well, I know in June, when I got it fixed, there was a Collins Auto Glass. I got it out of the Yellow Pages.
Well, it must have been their last job, Mr. Robinson, because they closed down. They're not there anymore. Sort of interesting. But I'm holding you to what your complaint says, or your sworn complaint says it was $800 to replace. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. On your counterclaim, Ms. Bradford, I've already explained to you the children were under your supervision when your car window got broken, so if you weren't supervising them adequately, I can't fault him for that. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Versus Selb, Stamper. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Selb.
Yes.
You were married to the defendant's father, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
For 7 years.
Almost 7 years. Yes, ma'am.
He died.
Yes, ma'am.
It is your claim that the defendants agreed to reimburse you for the costs of cremating your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
They say that there was never such an agreement. When did your husband pass away?
I cannot hear you.
When did your husband pass away?
He passed away of October 6th last year.
Was his passing away sudden?
No, ma'am.
He had been ill for a period of time?
Only my son was there.
Okay, let's try it on this side. Was your father ill for a long time?
I would say yes.
What do you mean you would say yes?
He had open heart surgery in 1994, and among many other illnesses, and I don't think he ever recuperated, if that's
from
what
his
you mean.
open heart surgery.
Right.
Were you notified as soon as he passed away?
He passed away at 2 o'clock in the morning, and Natalie called me the next, early, about 8:30 the next
Was
morning.
he home or was he in the hospital?
He was in the hospital.
How long had he been in the hospital?
It was 2 days prior.
To his passing.
She called you 2 days before. Did you go to see him?
No.
She told us not to.
She told us not to bother coming up there.
She has no right to do that. And if she did, I would assume that you would just disregard that and go and see your father anyway.
She requested us that we did not come up there.
Then you disregard that request and you go see your father.
She said that he was not, there was no plans for actually that he was going to survive the evening.
Even more reason for you to get there. Did you see your father regularly?
A few times a year.
And you?
Natalie made it very difficult for us to see our father. She called me in 1998 and told me that I was never welcome in her home again. So my visits with my father had to be over the phone. I was not welcome in her home.
All right, Miss Selb, would you tell me the conversation that you allegedly had with these children about their reimbursing you for the cost of your husband's cremation?
On October 21st, they came over to pick up some of my husband's heirlooms. They also want to have the ashes. I told Tina that I have paid $1,200 for it, and she said she will reimburse the money. All I have to do is just send the bill.
I never said that.
I have sent the bill with a letter. I didn't hear anything from her.
Just a minute. At that time, did you give her the ashes?
Yes, they took the ashes when they left.
Was there any funeral service for your husband?
No. There was just at the park, you know, people have got together and had dinner and stuff like that. And I have asked them, but they didn't want to come.
But they came to the house to pick up some property, is that right?
Yes.
That's correct.
And you picked up your father's ashes?
Yes.
Tell me under what circumstances this lady gave you the ashes.
We went up to get my dad's war mementos and our family photo albums, all that was left of that my father had. And there was never a discussion about taking the ashes home. I mean, that wasn't why we went up there.
Okay.
She presented a carton as we were leaving of his ashes, and we were both very surprised by that. There was never a discussion about reimbursing for ashes or giving her money for the cremation, and then we can exchange, you know, pay this ransom for my father's ashes, and we could leave with it. Never a discussion about that. The ashes were there. She presented it to us along with a copy of what appears to be his will, and we left. That was that.
Miss Selb, why did you give them your husband's ashes?
Why did I do what?
Why did you give them your husband's ashes?
Because Doug asked for it.
Because they asked for it?
Yes.
And you had no problem with that?
I didn't want to divide it, ma'am. You know, so I said, okay, you go ahead and take it. Because Tina told me that she's going to reverse the money.
Well, when you decided to have him cremated, you didn't speak to her with regard to the costs. Is that right?
She told me also that whatever I do is okay with her, and she also talked to my son.
That's not true.
At the hospital.
That's absolutely not true.
At the where?
At the hospital. When my husband was in the hospital, she called. My son was in the hospital when she called when my husband was sick.
Step up. Tell me. Not proper court attire.
Sorry.
So you should have something important to say. I assume you do.
Basically, I was there when he went into the hospital and when he died.
And when did you have a conversation with Tina?
I had conversations with them each of them at least twice.
Go ahead, let me hear about the conversation.
You know, they were asking what was going on with their father and, you know, what do the doctors think? And I said they don't really know. They pretty much think he's going to die or they're not going to do much about it. And then they told me that they weren't able to get up there. So we went in the next morning and made arrangements to have him cremated. They left it in the hands of my mother to take care of.
Were there any death benefits under Social Security?
I believe the $225 that they give for when somebody dies, Social Security, that was about it. And then
The $225 for burial costs?
yeah, that's what the Social Security system will pay.
Okay, well, that's $225.
Correct.
Even that, your lawsuit is $1,200, which is the entire cost of cremation, right?
Yes.
Is there a will?
Your Honor, my father had an estate when he married Natalie. And I have here a record of every single thing that my father had and things that show, as far as I'm concerned, that he had an estate that more than paid for funeral expenses.
Plus his wishes to be buried
He wanted
whole.
to be buried whole next to my mother, who died in 1983. He already had a plot. He already had his wishes known. She knew them. She and I discussed this. When he died, she knew that we did not want him cremated and that he didn't want to be cremated.
How long was he married to your mother?
37 years.
When did she pass away?
1983. I hired Natalie to be his housekeeper.
I think an important point.
Go ahead.
I think an important point is that when my father was ill, we hired Natalie. My sister actually hired Natalie to take care of him. And in a 6-week period, they were married, and she produced a license with his name on it. And
Her license.
with her name on it, and my father's name. And at that point, a bank that had all his funds and monies called us up, my sister, which was the power of attorney at the time, and said there's something funny going on. This woman is here, and she's liquidating
Closing all of his accounts.
Closing all of his accounts, getting all the funds out of his accounts. At that point, we contacted my father, and that's when he said, well, we just happened to get married.
Okay. Miss Sell, after you married Mr. Sell,
Yes.
were you working anyplace else?
Before I started working for him?
For the last 7 years, since you were married to their father, you didn't work at all outside the home?
That was a full-time job with Mr. Selb.
Fine. So you didn't work at all outside the home?
No, ma'am.
Is that right? How were you supported?
We lived on his retirement and my Social Security.
How much was your Social Security?
My Social Security, $472.
And how much was his pension?
His pension was $1,200 or something like that.
And how much was his Social Security?
5 something.
So you had Social Security of $400, and he had about $1,700 a month. Is that right?
Right, ma'am.
Okay. And he had savings as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Of course. Where are his savings?
The savings?
Yeah.
We spent most of it.
Do you have any left?
We have traveled quite a bit, ma'am.
Oh, just a minute. Do you have any left of his savings?
Yeah, I have $2,000.
Good. That pays for the funeral. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The only thing I can say that I took care of their father for 7 years.
My sister went there a couple of weeks afterwards, and she found the mail actually had been sorted through and gone through, his financial statements gone through.
They wouldn't even answer the letters I have sent it to them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Langlois, step forward.
51-year-old office manager Vicki Langlois is suing her ex-husband, 36-year-old operations manager Jim Langlois, for medical expenses for the family dog.
Miss Langlois, you and the defendant were married for 13 years. You were divorced officially, I believe, according to what I've read, in 1999.
Correct.
There was a dog.
Jim's dog.
Well, you say it was Jim's dog. There was a dog that lived in your house for a long time. The dog remained in your home. The dog became ill. You took the dog to the vet.
Correct.
There was substantial expenses for the dog in the amount of $1,817. The dog was ultimately put to sleep, and you want the defendant to pay those veterinarian bills.
Correct.
Okay, so I will hear you on why you think he is responsible for those bills.
When he left in March of '99, he moved into a studio apartment where there was no pets allowed. I was left with the dog to care for it. Then, March of 2000, the dog became ill. I talked to Jim, and I explained to him everything that happened. He didn't disagree with how I handled it. I told him I would not be able to pay the bills, and he said that was okay, and he'd take care of it. So I had brought the dog home with the understanding that I would have to give the dog intravenous feedings twice a day, which I did until April 25th, when he suddenly turned worse. I called Jim. I told him he wanted to see the dog. I brought the dog to him, and he returned the dog to me, and the next day the dog even got worse. I called the vet. She said there's nothing more we can do for him.
How old was the dog?
12 years. And
how old is your son?
12. So
that the dog had been your son's companion as well.
His best friend.
Okay, go ahead.
And so Thursday night, the 27th, I believe it was, I called Jim at work. When I tried to discuss what was going on with the dog, he just wanted to talk about the divorce and all the other property issues that were going on. And he got abusive, and he wasn't even listening to me. I was telling him that Saturday morning was the appointment, and he got abusive and was swearing at me, and I hung up the phone. On Saturday morning, my daughter Kendra took me and our 12-year-old son to the vet, and we sat there with him while the dog was put down. Later, I talked to Jim about the money, and he said we would have to discuss it at the divorce hearing in June. When we got to the divorce hearing, his attorney asked that the two attorneys could talk outside of the courtroom and discuss some of the issues.
The outstanding financial issues.
Right, and the dog was one of them. My attorney said that Jim was denying it was his dog, and that I shouldn't waste $250 an hour. I should take it to of his time. I should take it to small claims court, and that's what I did.
It is clear to me, Mrs. Langlois, that your 12-year-old son would have been devastated had his father left the house, and in addition to leaving the house, taken his dog. According to you, the dog was his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't that you were dog sitting for the defendant's dog. You kept the dog because it was the family dog. Whoever purchased it, paid for it. I have a dog. When she's a very, very good dog, my husband says it's his dog. When it poops in the house, it's my dog. The issue of whose dog it is not relevant to this. Your former wife claims that you indicated to her that you would, at one point, take care of the veterinary bills. Let us assume for the moment that you did say to her, I'll take care of it, whatever the bills are. And I don't even have to make a judgment on that. There did come a time that you went to the Supreme Court to resolve all issues of money involving your marriage. According to you, Miss Langlois, the issue of the dog's bills was raised by the attorneys in that proceeding.
Outside of the judge.
It doesn't make any difference.
Correct.
It was part of the negotiation. You did the right thing by keeping the dog and taking care of the dog. Your problem, Mrs. Langlois, is this. There must be finality when parties divorce. And that is usually as of the day that a final judgment of divorce is rendered. Everybody is there, and they throw all the marbles on the table, and they say, listen, this is what we got. This is what our bills are. This is what our expenses are. This is what our assets are. We're going to divide them. We're going to divide them in an equitable fashion, and that's what you pay a lawyer for. That was clearly done. So all of that was before the court, or should have been before the court. Now, you understand that, Mrs. Langlois. I know that from the way you're shaking your head, you understand that. Because ultimately, each of you has to know, this is the date that my financial obligations are fixed, both for child support, for maintenance, for alimony, for outstanding credit cards, for outstanding bank loans. You can't keep this thing going forever. It's not healthy.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
According to you, and I'm just taking what you tell me, your attorney did in fact raise the issue at that time. You were given bad advice by your attorney. If your attorney did indeed say to you, deal with it later, that's very bad advice, because your marriage terminated and these bills were incurred prior to the stipulation and settlement and the judgment of divorce, unless your former husband believes that you should voluntarily contribute to the dog's vet bills. He is under no legal obligation to do so. Just for my own sake, you want to tell me, Mr. Langlois, how much you pay in child support for your son?
I believe it's $961 a month.
Do you pay maintenance to your former wife, in addition to the child support?
Yes.
And how much do you pay in maintenance?
1,000 something.
It's a little over 1,000, 1,027.
Are you currently current in your child support and maintenance?
Yes, my child support and spousal support comes directly out of my work check.
Do you see your son? Visit him?
Not now, I don't.
Why not?
We have issues that we're working out through court right now.
So there are ongoing issues of visitation?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still paying lawyers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am. She's not. She doesn't have a lawyer at this time. I do.
Well, that's unfortunate.
No, that's not true. I do have a lawyer.
Yeah. Okay. Whether you have
But
a
yes,
lawyer,
we are.
I have his letter that says
whether you
he's-
have a lawyer or not, it's really unfortunate that you can't put a period and start having some sort of normalcy to your lives. That's really very unfortunate.
Fair.
In any event, Ms. Langlois, all financial issues were resolved in your case in June of 2000. So your lawsuit.
220 on the calendar in the matter of Sansing versus Hobson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Okay, who's going to speak for the Hobson family?
Me.
Who are you?
Her daughter-in-law, Veronica Hobson.
What do you have to do with this case?
I'm the one who verbally told her that we needed the room by October
Okay,
1st.
why don't you have a seat? And who are you?
I'm Ellen's son. I'm also a defendant in this case.
Sit down. Sit down. Ms. Sampson, you rented a room from the defendant, is that correct?
Yes.
When did you rent a room from her?
12/15 of 99 until August 10th, maybe the 15th of 2000.
And it was a month-to-month tenancy, is that right?
Yes.
How much was your rent?
$500 a month.
What you are suing for is really an illegal eviction. You're suing for harassment, pain and suffering, and the return of your deposit. You say she didn't give you sufficient notice when she told you to leave, causing you all kinds of stress, and she did not return your security.
Also the overpayment also for the month of August. I felt that I was forced to move before the end of the August, so I'm also asking for that too. The prorated amount from the 15th of August to the end.
Somebody's counterclaiming here for some nonsense about ruining a birthday party. I'll hear about that later. Ms. Hobson indicates in her answer that there came a time, sometime in May, that you indicated to her that you would be moving out. Is that correct?
No, it is not.
Did you ever have a conversation with her indicating that you would be moving out?
Not in the month of May.
When?
In the month of July, 4th weekend.
I'd like you to tell me what the conversation was.
That my boyfriend and I would be buying a home and we would try to live together before we got married. That I would probably be moving by the first of the year.
Had you had any difficulty prior to that?
No, never.
So everything was fine?
As far, yes.
Okay. You were a good tenant. She was a reasonable landlord. You paid your rent on time?
Yes.
Okay. So there came a time when she told you you had to leave.
Right.
Tell me about that.
The daughter-in-law came to me on August 9th and had said that I needed to be out by August or October 1st.
By 10/1?
10/1, yes. And I asked her why, and she said I didn't supply some papers for a daycare. which are not in any writing. This is a verbal.
It said what?
Supply papers for a daycare that she was opening up, and for, I guess, the state to check me out. So I asked her, okay, well, you know, whatever the reason is, I just would like it in writing. She thought that I was having an attitude because I asked for me to leave in writing. And at that time, then from there on, it just got crazy.
Well, tell me about how crazy it got.
I went outside to talk to Ellen, and at the time I asked her, you know, about them asking me to move and why she didn't confront me and ask me to move, and why was she leaving it to the daughter-in-law. We had an argument there, so I went back in.
Well, tell me about the argument.
Just about things that I had done. I left a bowl in the sink, that I didn't supply these papers, this and that. And it was just, it's not true. The stuff that they're saying was not true. So I turned and I left, and the next day when I came home from work, there was this letter here.
That was on the 10th of August?
Yes, the next day. It was underneath the door. This is actually a second letter that was left. The first letter, when I was outside waiting for the police to come, they switched the letters. But anyway, that's the letter that she left me with my 30-day notice. When I read the letter, I went out, she was outside, and I walked outside, and I had told her, you know, I thought that this is ridiculous, but whatever your reasons are, I will move. I also told her that I felt like I was being harassed, and at that time I may seek some kind of legal advice. She got just so upset, and I turned away, I walked around and went in the room. At that time, her and Veronica forced their way into the room. They either kicked it or they punched the door in. At that time, I got on the phone because they were saying that they were going to throw me out right then and there with all my belongings. And so I called the police. I went outside to wait for the police. It took a couple hours. And so I left that night. The police told me to leave and come back later on that night and get some things. When I came back that night, all of them were making physical threats, and even Veronica, while I was waiting for the police, was trying to provoke a fight, like walking on the back of my legs right behind me, telling me her husband's going to beat me up, they're going to do things.
This is Veronica?
Yes.
Okay.
Her husband's going to beat me up, they're going to do things to my car and stuff. When I came back that night, then all three of them were jumping in on the bandwagon.
Do they all live there?
Yes, they do.
And they've always lived there?
Yes.
And you never had any problem with them before?
Never. I think I was so upset at the beginning of all this because I couldn't really understand why they were actually behaving like this.
Okay. So you moved out, and you did not receive your security deposit back?
I did not receive my security deposit back.
And how much was the security deposit?
It was $500.
And you were fully paid for the month of August?
Yes.
Okay.
I also have police reports here for that. I also went back on Friday because I was afraid of the things that they were actually going to do things to my belongings. I went back. I took time off from work on Friday. I went to the home. It was about 11:30. And the locks were changed. The locks that I were given were changed. I couldn't get in, so I sat down. The police told me to call if I couldn't get in, so I did. And while I was waiting for the police, Ellen came outside and said that she wasn't letting me in because I didn't lock the door the night before. And then she left in the car with Veronica's baby. And then about 10 minutes after that, the police came, and here's the police report that they even that they noticed that I could not get into the home. So then I came back on Saturday afternoon. I called the police. They met me there. And I have the police officer's cards that actually were there while I was packing my things for 30 minutes. I guess this is why she was having her party, which I didn't know she was having a party. And they even wrote on the back of the card that they kept the peace during eviction while I packed some of my belongings. And these are the officers that were there the first night when they...
I'm reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
Okay, it's true. She came to me in May and said that she was moving, that she'd be moving in about 2
or 3 months. Right, go ahead.
Veronica asked her to get the documents that she spoke about.
What kind of documents?
For Veronica to have a daycare center, we all have to be fingerprinted and TB tested. It was 2 days after that that she told me she was actually going to be moving. So we started making arrangements for the room. My daughter was talking about moving back in. She's going back to college. She needed to come home.
Which daughter?
My daughter, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Also, one of Veronica's aunts was considering moving to Southern California so that she could help with the daycare.
Mm-hmm.
We had made these arrangements. It was all set. One or the other was going to be moving in.
When?
At the end of September.
Okay.
Darcy came to me and said, I won't be able to move. My boyfriend hasn't found a home, so I'm going to be staying till the end of the year.
Okay.
We had to tell her that this was impossible because we'd already made other arrangements for the room.
Okay.
At that point, she went a little crazy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Is what you're telling me, Miss Hobson, that she was still living in your home on the 17th of August?
She had
Don't
moved,
be a Swiftie with me, madam.
She had moved all her belongings except a TV that she did
Don't
not
be a
want.
Swiftie, madam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Darcy Sansing claims landlords Ellen, Veronica, and Jeffrey Hobson unlawfully evicted her because they wanted to run a daycare business out of their home.
Go ahead.
And she started cursing, calling names, calling Veronica names. She asked for a written 30-day notice. We gave her that.
Right, but you locked her out.
No, we
Before
did not,
the 30
Your Honor.
days, according to the police. According to the police report, couldn't get in.
This is not true, Your Honor.
Why would the police lie?
There are 2 locks.
Your Honor,
She
I have...
didn't-
I'm sorry.
Why would the police lie in their report?
She probably did not give them the second key. There are 2 keys to the door. There's a top lock and a bottom lock. Because Darcy had a habit of going out of the home and never locking the security lock, we have to lock the bottom lock.
Right.
She did not give them the key for the bottom lock.
So you didn't lock her out?
No, we still, to this date, have not changed the lock.
Okay, now how many times were the police called to the premises on or about the 9th or 10th of August?
She had them there on the 9th. She had them there on the 10th, the 11th.
Why do you think she had them there?
She was trying to harass us.
No.
She was very upset about
Just a
us
second.
not allowing her to
Who
stay till
told
the end
you?
of the year.
Who told you you should leave that day or the next day?
Who told me I should leave that day
Yeah,
to
in
leave for
August.
the night?
Yeah.
The police officers.
Did there come a time when either you or Veronica went into her room that evening?
No, no.
Yes.
We talked to her earlier in the day.
When I was on the phone with the police officer, they were getting a car over there to help. They actually asked me to turn around and tell them to leave the room because she could hear them in the background screaming, and then she physically got on the phone with Veronica and told her to leave the room. And
Did you speak to the police that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up. Where were you when you spoke to the police?
We were at the door of, we're in our hallway at the door of her room. That's
Okay,
where
that's
we were.
all. Sit down. Why didn't you return her security deposit?
I have it written here. I asked her to give me an address where I could mail it, and she, to this date, has not given me another address.
Okay, so you
And
acknowledge that you
also
owe her security deposit.
She doesn't, she is not due the entire security deposit back.
Why?
Her notice was from the 9th of September through the 9th of August to the 9th of September, which means she owed another 9 days for the month of September.
She wasn't living there in September.
No, but her 30-day notice extended from
She had
August
to leave.
9th.
I find that there was sufficient harassment in the house that required her to leave.
You're on.
Shh. Do I look like I need help?
No, you don't.
You harassed her into moving. I don't know how much of this was due to the fact that she did not want to fill out forms for the county so that Veronica could have a daycare center in the house. I don't know how much of this bad feeling emanated from that, but certainly she was under no legal obligation to be fingerprinted and photographed in order to live in a room that you were renting to her. So she wasn't living there in September. She doesn't owe you any rent. Do I have...
No.
Do I look like I need your help or any more evidence on that issue?
No.
Your
And
Honor,
I find
have
that it was-
evidence that shows that she was not afraid, she was not being harassed. This is a note from her where she deliberately misspells our name, showing how upset she was. And if you'd like to read this.
Sure. Oh, well, it's clear to me, Ms. Hobson, that the plaintiff and your daughter-in-law, based upon this letter, have had unpleasantries passed between them. Clear to me. And she does talk in terms of harassment. And this was, in fact, written on the 9th of August. She's entitled to her full security deposit back. And she is also entitled to, if she paid you rent August 1st for the month of August, I find that she's entitled to that money back. And $500 security deposit. Where did you go when you moved out?
To a hotel for a month.
Okay.
I had to pay for storage fees, moving fees, a portable phone.
How much did you pay each night for the motel that you had to stay in?
Each night is different. The first night, I believe it was I have it written down here. The first night I spent at a hotel was $62.70.
Yeah.
The next night I went to where I ended up staying, it was $67.99. Then I stayed at the hotel for 3 weeks, was $250 a week. I have the receipts here.
You don't have to show me the receipts.
Okay. My storage, I'm sorry.
I'm not interested in your storage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I cannot believe that any person all of a sudden acts in a bizarre fashion for no reason unless they have a psychiatric breakdown.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Darcy Sansing claims landlords Ellen, Veronica, and Jeffrey Hobson owe her for an unlawful eviction. The Hobsons say they evicted Darcy because she threatened them.
Did you ever have any conversation with Veronica about this form that she wanted you to fill out when you didn't fill it out?
Yes, I did. She did tell me that she was going to be opening a daycare, and I told her that.
When?
It was before July 4th, maybe a couple days before, maybe in that same weekend.
When did she give you the paperwork?
She never did.
She never did?
No. She had just said that I was probably going to have to, and I told her I didn't have a problem with it at all. My sister is a foster parent, and I'm pretty sure that I'm already on their files. I've already been fingerprinted and stuff before. And that's what I had told her, so it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Now I'm going to deal with the counterclaim. Who wants to talk about this counterclaim for harassment for disturbing the birthday party?
I do.
I'll hear you.
First of all, I did go to Darcy and I did talk to her about moving out. It was not over the papers. When I approached her...
Would you please just tell me about the claim of harassment at a birthday party? That's your complaint.
My complaint is that she knew I was having a birthday party, and she came in the middle of it, brought the cops. I had to answer to my family, friends. I didn't have time to spend with my son on his birthday. I got ponies and bouncers and stuff like that. She came right smack in the middle of that, and I didn't get the time to enjoy it.
What do you think she came to the police for on that occasion? What do you think she was trying to do?
Oh, she was moving out her things. She
was moving out her things.
The only thing...
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
She was moving out her things based upon statements that you made that you wanted her out.
Right.
Right. Sit down. You picked a bad time to tell her you wanted her out.
Your Honor.
Yes.
She also, on her complaint, uses the address, our address, so it shows that she was still there.
She was still there when, Ms. Hobson?
When she filed this complaint on 8/17, she is using our address.
She may not... Listen. Is what you're telling me that she was still there on the 17th of August?
She was still...
Just a second. Is what you're telling me, Ms. Hobson, that she was still living in your home on the 17th of August?
She was still using it as her address, yes. She had
Don't
moved,
be a Swiftie with me, madam.
She had moved all her belongings except a TV that she did not want.
Don't be a Swiftie, madam.
She left a broken TV in the room for us to discard.
So what? You illegally and without just cause evicted her from her home where she had lived for 10 months on a month-to-month basis. The reason for that I will never understand, except that she clearly was not getting along with your daughter-in-law, because the harassment that she refers to in her letter to you involves harassment by your daughter-in-law. Now, I don't know about this baloney about moving October 1st and then moving that very day. I honestly don't know what precipitated that, but I cannot believe that any person who has had normal behavior for 10 months would opt to move their stuff out in the middle of the night into a motel room, to a $60 a night motel room, rather than stay in the comfort of a place that she's enjoyed for almost a year, unless she was being substantially harassed. I don't know why you did it, but it's clear to me that you or people acting under your authority did it, because she didn't all of a sudden overnight become a nut.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did? Oh, no, I don't believe that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm telling you, you harassed her into leaving. That's what I'm finding. You?
Well, you are wrong.
Or you? No, I don't believe so.
Your Honor,
I don't
may I say
believe so.
something?
I don't believe that somebody, for no reason whatsoever, after 10 months of peaceful occupancy, all of a sudden acts in a bizarre fashion and puts themselves into a situation overnight where they are discommoded from that residence, put their stuff in storage and go to a motel for no reason unless they have a psychiatric breakdown. Now, I see no evidence of that, Ms. Hobson. I am going to find that her out-of-pocket money that you have that belongs to her is $750, $500 security deposit, and $250 for unused portion of the rent. And in addition, I find that she suffered damages the extent of $1,000 to enable her to reestablish a residence based upon the fact that you illegally evicted her. Total value that I'm awarding to the plaintiff on her claim is $1,750. Now, as far as your counterclaim is concerned, for $1,500 for harassment and mental anguish by ruining your son's birthday party by having the police come, that's dismissed.
278 on the calendar in the matter of McPhillips versus Dunkel. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. McPhillips, the defendant used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
According to your complaint, he was arrested on a charge of assaulting another girlfriend.
Over there.
And you bailed him out.
Yes.
He says that you may have physically gone down to pay the bail, but it was not paid with your money, it was his aunt's money.
That's right.
Okay. When he was arrested, were you still dating?
Yes.
What date was he arrested?
May 25th.
And how did you find out that he was arrested?
His sister and her boyfriend called me at work and told me that they came to his house and arrested him.
And what did you do?
I left work and we went to his aunt's house, who then gave his sister money for his lawyer.
Oh, no.
And then her boyfriend gave another $200
Just a
for
sec.
his lawyer.
You went to an aunt's house?
Yes.
And at the aunt's house, you all picked up some money?
Yes.
How much money?
His aunt and her fiance gave $300, and Chris Maxey gave $200.
Chris is the boyfriend?
Of Dina, yes.
So that was $500 altogether?
Yes, for his lawyer.
But then he's still in jail, so what happened with his bail?
The next day, we went to a court hearing, and they said that his bail was $1,000.
And what did you do then?
Me and Dina and Chris all then went to my bank and took the money out of the bank. And then
Out of your bank?
Yes.
And you have proof of that?
I don't have my bank records because it was back in May, and I had $1,003.24 in the bank. And I took out the money, and so the account was closed. And I didn't think I needed proof because I assumed he would give it back like he said he would.
Miss McPhillips, that sounds like the most ridiculous answer. If you know you're suing somebody, and you know there's an issue, and you have bank statements that you receive each month, then that's the one piece of evidence that it would seem to me that you would bring.
It was back in May.
So what? We're not talking about 20 years ago. We're talking about 6 months ago.
And I didn't file the claim till November because that was
So?
when his court date was, and I didn't think that I needed the statement in May or I would have gotten one.
You get a statement from a bank every month.
Yes, but I don't keep them. And so I don't have the one from May. But I have the piece of paper saying that I am the one who gave the people the money that bailed him out. Why would I be
That's
suing
not-
him for money that wasn't mine?
We're going to find out in a minute. Go ahead, Mr. Dunkel.
Yeah, like she said, I was arrested. My sister and her boyfriend, Chris, were at my house when the police picked me up. I called my aunt that night from jail and told her they'll set my bail the next morning. She said, I asked her, if she could bail me out. And she said, sure, that's no problem.
That is a lie.
Well,
Where's your aunt?
The next
Where's your
day,
aunt?
She's at home. She runs a home daycare. She wasn't able to be here. I have a statement here written from her.
I don't take statements written
Okay.
from witnesses.
Okay.
Where is your aunt's bank statement that shows me that she withdrew $1,000 from a bank?
She had it in cash. The next day, my bail was set for $1,000. My sister, Chris, and Brandy went to my aunt's house. My aunt gave them the money, $1,000 to bail me out of jail. They went to the police station. Brandy, Dina, and Chris went to the police station. I don't know why Brandy was entrusted with the money to bail me out, probably because she was my girlfriend at the time. But she gave them the money. They gave them the bond receipt. So the bond receipt's in her name, so I think she's entitled to...
Okay, but if his aunt
Entitled
gave the
to the
money, then why
$1,000.
wouldn't they have given it to Dina?
Just
She's
a
his
second.
sister. When his aunt trusts Dina with the money?
Madam,
More than
you're
me?
not standing there in a very good place, because all you had to do to be successful today was to bring me a bank statement. That's all you had to do.
I didn't keep it. I didn't think I'd need it. I thought that he would pay me back like he told me he was going
But
to.
then you knew he was not going to pay you back, and you knew you were coming to court.
But I already didn't have
Listen
a
to
statement.
me. What do you mean you already didn't have a statement? You called the bank and you said, I need
The account
May's
was
statement.
closed, so they wouldn't give me a statement.
That's not true.
I
That's
did call
not-
the bank, and
What?
they wouldn't give me a statement since the account had been closed for 6 months.
Do you know that I don't believe that?
That's the truth.
All right, I'm going to hear your witnesses because so far a lot of what you told me, sir, is hearsay. Who was present when the aunt turned over this $1,000? Step up. Tell me your name.
Dana Van Grunsven.
So, what happened?
Basically, we showed up at my aunt's house after we went to his court hearing, and my aunt handed Brandy the money and said...
That is a lie.
Shh.
And we got back in Chris's car. We went down there. Brandy ran out and paid for his bond.
What time was the bail hearing on the 26th?
At 9 o'clock.
Shh. And what time was he bailed out?
5 o'clock, around 5.
So you knew the exact date of the withdrawal. It had to be on the 26th of May.
It was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon because I had to wait for my friend who was living with me at the time to bring down my driver's license because they wouldn't let me withdraw the money out of the bank without my driver's license, even though my signature matched.
All right. I want you to do this. I want you to get the telephone number of the bank, get on the phone with the bank manager. You tell the bank manager that you are in court now. You would like them to research their record and just be able to tell the court, that's me, whether on the 26th of May of the year 2000 there was a $1,000 withdrawal from your savings account. Now, the two of you would agree that if there was $1,000 withdrawn from her savings account on the 26th, that would pretty much establish that you're lying, right?
Right.
So there's no issue with regard to that, right?
Unless it was pay your bills. I don't know. I got my aunt's phone number right here. You can call her and
Why
just
would
talk
I
to
want to believe
'Cause
your
there's
aunt
my-
over
that's
the
my prime
telephone?
witness. You know,
If
she
your
gave me the
prime
money.
witness is supposed to be here, sir,
Well,
you
she
would
went to
agree,
daycare, she
sir, since you weren't there, that if the bank manager, who I'm sure will be cooperative with me,
Okay. he'd be
because they're
cooperative with
always cooperative with me, and he certainly is disinterested,
you? Okay.
will tell me that she withdrew $1,000 from her account on the 26th, that would mean that you and all your relatives and all your friends are lying, right? And
Not necessarily.
Oh, yes.
Well,
of
why
course.
would they give you the
Of
bank
course.
statement and they wouldn't give their own, their own customer the bank statement?
Why? Because it's much harder to say no to me. Miss McPhillips, did you get the number?
Yes, I did.
May I have it, please? You sure you want to continue with this?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see.
Yes, can I have extension 426, please? Thank you. Yes, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. I'm calling because I'm in the midst of trying a case involving one of your clients, Miss McPhillips, Brandy McPhillips. And the main issue in the case revolves around a withdrawal made from her savings account on the 26th of May. Can you tell me if there was a withdrawal? There was. And that was the total amount of the withdrawal. Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate your trouble. Bye-bye. I just love it when everybody's lying a little bit. Miss McPhillips, you did, in fact, make a withdrawal on that day.
$850.
Well, that's not what you told me initially. Miss
I tried
McPhillips,
to
just
tell
listen
you
to me.
that I had $150 cash,
No,
but you
Miss
didn't let me
McPhillips,
finish.
listen to me carefully. You didn't try to tell me anything. What you told me was you had $1,003 in your savings account. You withdrew $1,000, leaving you $3 left. That's what you told me. You didn't try to tell me anything else. However, you did withdraw on the 26th $850. And I'm looking at the bail receipt. The bail receipt, they're so smart. They list the denominations of the bills. 800s, 150. Then there is 110 and 720s. So we got to get it straight. You withdrew the $850. Now, where did you get the extra cash from?
I work at a bar on the weekends, and that was my tip money from the week before.
So how do you have tip money when you...
Don't speak to her! Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't speak to her. You step up here.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a debt consolidation
You're what?
counselor. A debt counselor.
You're supposed to be honest when you're a debt counselor.
I am honest.
Not today, you weren't.
Yes, I am.
Oh, no, you weren't.
Yes, I am.
You were lying.
No, ma'am.
Oh, yes, you are. Because, you see, based upon the fib that you told me, you and Mr. Wonderful over here,
Thank
you all went to the aunt's house, all of you, and you took Auntie's money, and you went and paid the bail with Auntie's money, and you just handed the money to her. It seems unreasonable and unfathomable why, with her boyfriend in jail, she would go and withdraw practically all the money she had in the bank, and then go out on a spending spree or decide to pay her bills from her savings account.
What, she can't take money out of her savings account to pay her bills?
Are you asking me a question?
Well,
Are you asking me a question?
no, I guess I'm not.
You sure aren't. Who do you work for?
Greater Nebraska Tree Service?
So you deal with trees.
Yes, I do.
Well, you don't always have to be honest with trees, but you should be honest if you're in debt
I'm honest here
consolidation.
today.
I am honest.
Let me tell you something. Not only I am aware of the fact that you are dishonest because you perjured yourself, but there'll be 10 million people who will agree with me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Why?
They were made fools of. They lied.
Never trust a woman.
Obviously, some people aren't worth trusting.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Flamini versus Warner. Step forward, please.
18-year-old telemarketer Makil Flamini is suing former landlord, 54-year-old homemaker Carol Warner, for return of rent. Makil says Carol's compulsive behavior caused her to move.
Miss Flamini, you rented a room in the defendant's home. According to your complaint, you lived there for one day. Things were so intolerable, you moved out, and you want your rent back.
Correct.
It's Miss Warner's contention that you had no basis to leave, and she's not returning any of your money. So I have a few basic questions.
Okay.
How did you find the room to rent?
I met Carol through a friend of mine from school, and he introduced me to her, and I went over to her house. And when I first came into the house, I was like, I can't live here. But then I met her, and I really like Carol. I still really do.
All right. You met her through a friend.
Right.
You went to her house. According to you, the house was a mess.
Right. I have a picture.
The rent was $489 a month, according to your complaint.
Yes.
Plus doing some cleanup for her.
Right.
Okay. You have some photographs?
I have, a photograph of, you can see in the background what it kind of was like.
I can see everything. Okay. Very good. So you got to the house, and?
And later that night, it was Halloween, it was October 31st, we agreed on the phone that I would come back that night, and we would start cleaning up the house. So I got back there, and I tried to clean up. Like, I would pick up paper towel off the ground and throw it away, and she'd be like, no, you can't throw that away. I use that to clean the floor. And she'd make me wash my hands every time I touched a dirty dish. There was a piece of paper with the number 3 on it and, like, scribbles, and I crumpled it up to throw away, and she's like, you can't throw that away, that goes on this pile. And it was just, she wouldn't let me clean, and that was, our verbal agreement was I would live with her and help her clean up her house if she let me stay there.
Okay. Did you move in on the 31st of October?
I never moved anything in. I just stayed there to clean.
That night?
I stayed that night, yes.
Okay. And did you leave November 1st?
Yes.
Now, Miss Warner. Miss Warner.
I'm listening. I'm just surprised at her statement.
Okay. Had you previously, immediately previous to the plaintiff moving in with you, had you had a roommate?
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so?
No, I did not.
The answer is you did not have a roommate.
Correct.
When was the last time you had a roommate?
Oh, maybe 6 months before then.
And she lived there for one day?
I think it was actually 2 days. Because the day that she came...
The day that she came was October 31st, which was the day she gave you the
she
check.
came the day before, Your Honor, with her friend, to look at the place and see if it was okay for her to live in.
But then she came and she slept there on October 31st.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
And she left November 1st.
I'm not sure of that either.
Well, if you're not sure, she said she was there one day, so I have to assume she's correct. So my question to you, Ms. Warner, is if it didn't work out, and you certainly didn't turn away any other boarders, why don't you give her back her $489?
Because I did turn away other people, Your Honor.
When did you turn people away?
Actually on the 30th, when she said, okay, I'm going to go to the bank with my friend and She opened an account in order to use a West Hollywood address and to establish residence, as she herself said.
So what? Different. I don't know what
Okay,
you're
I'm just
talking about,
giving
Miss
you an
Warner.
answer.
All right, now we're talking a couple of months later. Do you have a roommate?
No, I do not.
Right. You have to give her back her money.
Why is that?
I'm going to tell you why. Okay. I don't want to go into all the reasons she says your house was a mess. Evidently, this was a young lady who wanted very badly to rent a room in your house because, according to both of you, she ran out and she said, no, I want to give you the check today because I really want this room.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So there had to be a very good reason why, after one day of living with you, she said, this is not going to work.
Why don't you ask her what the reason is?
If you want me to, Miss Warner.
I'll ask her.
No, you don't have to ask her. I'll ask her. I asked the questions.
Okay, sorry.
I was trying to save you embarrassment.
I'm not embarrassed in the slightest, but she saw
So,
the
go
home
ahead.
before she moved in.
Go ahead.
Well, she wouldn't let me clean. I couldn't even, the bed that she had the room for me, I couldn't take her papers off the bed. I had to actually sleep on the side of the bed. I woke up to Carol staring at me. She was sitting in a chair staring at me. And I was uneasy, and I was like, I cannot live here. I just could not live in that situation.
Why was it such a mess?
It's not such a mess. It's totally, she's just supposed to help me with my dishes.
Were there papers all over the bed that you were sleeping on?
No.
Did you go into her room and were you sitting in her room at some point?
No, that's a total lie. She just, all she did was change her mind about wanting to live there, and then the lie
Why
happened.
do you think, Miss Warner, she changed her mind within a 24-hour period?
Probably because she found a place that she could rent at a pretty good price, and she wanted her own place.
Miss Warner, you are mistaken. I find that you have suffered absolutely no financial damage as a result of her not living there. You didn't turn away other prospective boarders. I don't believe that you turned away other prospective boarders because it's months later and you still don't have a boarder in your house. You look like two very nice young ladies, but you can't keep the $489, madam. It's outrageous.
If she had rented some other else, like actually rented a home, that landlord wouldn't give her money back just because she changed her mind the same day.
I didn't.
Madam,
or the day later.
I believe her when she says that living in your home, that you are a clutter collector.
It's not true.
I believe that you are a clutter collector and that circumstances in your home for that brief period that she lived there made her believe that her life in your home was going to be untenable.
She decided she wanted to live on her own, and she saw the place before she moved in. She decided to
She
live there and to
didn't
help
live
me
with
the
you
house
for
rent.
24 hours.
couldn't
Judgment
live
for the
with you,
plaintiff
Carol.
and the amount of...
Các em thân mến, tiếp tục với chủ đề về bài toán trồng cây và cũng ôn luyện nốt về phần đo độ dài. Các cái đơn vị đo độ dài thì chúng ta sẽ làm bài toán này nhé. Bài toán này là một đoạn đường dài 2 km và sẽ được trồng số cây ở hai bên đường. Và ở hai đầu này chúng ta đều trồng cây. Mỗi cái cây cách nhau là 50 mét. Vậy hỏi ở đây là có bao nhiêu cây? Đúng không ạ? Cô đã tóm tắt bài toán ngắn gọn như thế này rồi, và để biết được số cây của cả cái đoạn đường thì chúng ta sẽ tính số cây ở mỗi bên đường, đúng không? Ở đây chúng ta thấy là khoảng cách là 50 mét và ở đây là 2 km. Vậy thì chúng ta sẽ đổi được là độ dài của đường tính bằng mét này. 2 km sẽ bằng 2.000 mét, đúng không ạ? Đúng ạ. Vậy thì đoạn đường, quãng đường dài 200 mét thì một bên nó cũng là 2.000 mét và hai bên sẽ là 4.000 mét. Nếu mà các em tính tổng như thế cũng được, hoặc chúng ta sẽ tính là số cây trong mỗi bên đường. Khoảng cách ở đấy là 50 mét, vậy thì chúng ta sẽ có là 2.000. Chúng ta chia cho 50. Chúng ta sẽ tìm được số cây là chúng ta sẽ lấy 200 và chia cho 5 sẽ được 40, đúng không? 4 nhân 5 20. Rồi, đây là một bên sẽ có 40 cây. Vậy thì số cây ở mỗi bên đường này các em chúng ta sẽ tìm được tổng số cây này. Tổng số cây đã trồng sẽ là 40 nhân 2 vì chúng ta trồng hai bên đường, không đúng không nào? Vậy thì chúng ta sẽ có 80 cây. Ở đây một là các em có thể làm cách này, chúng ta cũng có thể là đây là cách 1, chúng ta có thể làm cách 2. Cách 2 ở đây là chúng ta sẽ tính tổng cái đoạn đường mà trồng cây. Ở đây sẽ là tổng đoạn đường, cô gọi nó là D đi, nó sẽ bằng hai bên đúng không? 2.000 nhân cho 2 sẽ bằng 4.000 mét. Đúng không ạ? Và ở đây chúng ta có thể suy ra được tổng cây sẽ là 4.000. Chúng ta chia cho 50, chúng ta cũng sẽ được 80 cây. Đúng không nào? Vì là bản chất của việc trồng cây này là hai bên chúng ta đều trồng số cây cách đều như nhau và đều trồng hai bên đường. Vì thế là chúng ta có thể sử dụng cái cách thứ hai là một phép tính để chúng ta làm bài tập cũng được, hoặc là chúng ta làm theo cách bộ cũng được, tùy các em. Tại vì ở đây là rất tiền là số tròn chục tròn trắng tròn nghìn cả, vì thế mà chúng ta cũng rất là dễ để làm. Và các em chú ý các bài toán như thế này để chúng ta làm chính xác nhé.